Hell Followed With Us by Andrew Joseph White. Benjamin. Chapter 1. You will return to the earth, for out of it you were taken. For from dust you were made, and to dust you will return. Angel Prayer. Here's the thing about being raised an angel. You don't process grief. Grief is a sin. Loss is God's design, and to mourn the dead is to insult his vision. To despair at his will is sacrilege. How dare you betray his plan by grieving what was always his to take? Unfaithful, disgusting heretic. You should be hung from the walls so non-believers will know what's coming for them. Romans 6:23, for the wages of sin is death. So the image of Dad's body burns into the folds of my brain, writes itself between the grooves of my fingertips, and I swallow it down until I choke. Angels cut out the parts of us that remember how to cry until we can't. We learn to mask the grief, to pack it away for later, until eventually we just die. The way I see it, I don't have to worry. If the angels get their way, all this grief will be his problem soon enough. And if they don't, God, please don't. I'm running. Dad's blood is in my mouth. Brother Hutch shot him once in the chest to stop him and once in the head to kill him. Brother Hutch calls for me. We can do this the easy way, we really can. The other angels sweep the riverfront, shining white in the blazing February sun, moving slow and sure through the streets. They don't have to be quick. They know they'll catch me eventually. One 16-year-old boy against a death squad of angels. I'm doomed. I crash to a stop behind a stone pillar by the riverbank and double over to gasp for air. My hair sticks to my forehead in a slurry of sweat and blood. Dad's blood, drying on my face and hands. My lungs burn. I can't tell if the roaring in my ears is my heartbeat or the river. Dad's gone. He's dead, he's dead, he's dead. Please, God, I whisper before I can stop myself. What makes me think he's going to answer me now? Please give me something, anything. Sister Woodside, Brother Hutch cries. Your mother is worried about you. She wants her daughter to come home. The first thing Dad told me, when Mum said I'd see the Lord's plan for my womanhood eventually, that she'd carve it into me if she had to, he told me I'm a man, and I fought for it, and nobody can take that from me. Open your eyes, breathe, pull it together, Benji, pull it together. The death squads haven't gotten me yet. I can finish what Dad started. I can get out of Acheson, Pennsylvania. I peek from behind the pillar to look down the street. The riverfront district was probably beautiful before Judgment Day, before the flood hit. Now, ivy climbs up glass skyscrapers and cars rust in parking lot graveyards. Lawns and gardens have gone wild, smothering everything they can reach. Flowers bloom in February. It's one of the few good months for flowers. They'll die of thirst by April. And I don't see any angels. Not yet. Brother Hutch shouts to the heavens. We don't want to hurt you. We don't. The only way in or out of southern Acheson is the bridge. The one bridge the angels didn't destroy on Judgment Day. It's just half a block from me. With the death squads closing in and the bridge guards called away to join the hunt, this is my only shot. I was supposed to do this with Dad. We were supposed to leave Acheson together. We were supposed to make it to Akersfield County together. Now he's a corpse in the lawn of a crumbling hotel, brains soaking into the dirt, returning to the earth, for out of it he was taken. I can't finish what we started if I stand here begging God for things to be different. It won't bring him back. Breathe. Run. I've been running for days, but not like this. Not with my legs screaming and my sneakers pounding in the sidewalk in time with my heartbeat. I pretend Dad is right behind me, that I can't hear him because I'm breathing too hard, that I can mistake him for a blur in the windows across the street. I make it to the mouth of the bridge. I don't stop, just dive between the wreckage of cars choking the entrance. The bridge shines silver, suspension towers dangling thick metal wires from bank to bank. It belongs to the angels now. A banner flutters high above me. God loves you. Corpses dangle from the wires. Yellow-pink organs hanging from their stomachs to obscure their nakedness, like Adam and Eve ashamed of their bodies. One of the bodies is twisted, the leg held at a broken angle, and I can't tell if the angels did that or the flood did. The flood is cruel. It'll do some terrible things to a body. Not that I need another reminder. This is a long bridge. I can almost convince myself that Dad is waiting on the other side, holding our backpacks, demanding, "What took you so long?" I'll crash into him, and we'll run until we're away from Acheson, so far away from every angel camp and colony that they'll never find us again. Dad and I memorized the map of every outpost in the surrounding states and every major stronghold in North America. We'll be okay. We'll be okay. There! I shouldn't look. I shouldn't. I do. I know the angel behind me is Brother Hutch because his robes are splattered with Dad's blood. His rifle hangs from a strap over his shoulder. He's close enough that I can make out the bruises on his knuckles, the stains on his face mask. Masks keep the flood out, but I haven't worn one for a while. I can't get infected twice. "Sister Woodside," Brother Hutch says, and the other angels emerge from the shadows, the ruins, the back streets, and I don't stand still a moment longer. The second thing Dad told me, when we finally escaped, listening for the scream of monsters and the beat of boots against the ground, was that if the angels want to get their hands on me, I have to make them suffer for it. I still taste his blood. I vault the Jersey barriers at the angel checkpoint and hit the ground hard on the other side. There are lawn chairs back here, a Bible, and a few bottles of water. The road is full of broken glass. The bodies sway. Run. I dreamed about what it would be like on the other side of the bridge. Dad and I could head north and find a place to make it through the summer. Sure, there would be angels, because there would always be angels until the last non-believer was dead. But we would have all the earth to avoid them. Maybe we would meet someone, a handsome non-believer who would fall for me when I soaked his hands in warm water and bandaged his wounds. He would be sweet and a little brash and queer as hell, and he wouldn't mess up my pronouns when he saw my chest for the first time. Sometimes he was blonde, like my fiancé. Most of the time he wasn't. Stop, don't think about him. Don't think about Theo. None of it mattered anyway, because none of it will ever happen. The flood will break me like it breaks everything else, and I need to keep the monster away from the angels. I need to get out. I need to get away. I need to... An angel whistles, and the whistle is met with a scream. Between the cars ahead of me, a tangle of limbs unfold, and it shrieks and howls with all the pain of hell, the weeping and gnashing of teeth. A creature made of corpses in the flood, sharpened ribs lining its back with a row of spines, eyeballs blinking between sinew, muscles so swollen they split the skin, rises from the wreckage. Claws the size of arm bones curl around the truck cab and crumple it. I stop running. No. No, no, no. No. Not a grace, not when I'm so close. What had once been a person's face opens from the bottom of its jaw, up between the eyes and back to the nape of its neck, showing teeth smeared black with the flood rot. I faintly register the sound of boots and shouting, but that doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is the monster towering above me, dripping decay and blocking the only way out. The third thing Dad told me, when he realized what I could do, when I reached out to a grace and begged it to kill every angel it could find, when I stood in a sea of gore, a beast curled around me. He told me to be good, to never become the monster the angels want me to be, for evil begets evil begets evil. The sound of boots slows and stops. My legs fail me. I stumble to the ground, pressing my palm to the burning road. Be good. Make them suffer. Being good means being quiet, obedient, turning away from the virus's power the same way Eve should have turned away from the apple. Making them suffer means seizing the grace and taking the angels down with me in a blaze of flesh and fury. I could stop this. I could whisper across this street and make the angels regret ever laying their hands on me. I almost reached out for the grace. But Dad died holding my face. His blood smeared down my tongue, across my cheeks, matted in my hair, and begging me to be good. He's not waiting for me. I can't keep running like this. I am so tired. Good wins out. I'll be good. I'll be good. I'll be good. I say it out loud like that it will make failure feel any better, as if my insides aren't screaming to burn the angels in hellfire, as if there's any way I could obey all of Dad's words at once. I'll be good, oh Lord, lend me your strength, lead and guide me. Hot liquid trickles over my chin and I wipe my mouth. My fingers come away black and red. A pair of heavy boots appears in the corner of my vision, wreathed by stained white robes. I stare at my hand, the horizon, the rising sun. Is this really what he wants? Is this really his plan? Brother Hutch says I'm sorry, and he almost sounds like he means it. I make an awful keening sound deep in my throat. the closest I've come to crying in years. Past Brother Hutch and past the Grace, the river rushes, perfect blue and clear and clean. The mountains of Acheson County shine with green and gold. The black wings of carrion birds glimmer in the morning sun. I pretend Dad is out there. I tell him I was good and to go on without me. I tell him I'll meet up with him eventually, one day, maybe, I promise. Brother Hutch says, it's time to come home. Chapter 2. What do angels believe? As true believers, our priority is to serve the Lord. We know salvation comes in service to God, in carrying out his final command. We call ourselves angels to proclaim our truths in servitude. The Angelic Movement official website. It's time to come home. Brother Hutch holds out his hand to me. That hand that clasped Mum's in prayer. The hand that pulled the trigger on Dad. Home means going back to New Nazareth. Back to Theo, back to Mum. Every angel in New Nazareth will fall to their knees and beg for my blessings. Theo will take me back as his betrothed, like he didn't spit at me and call me a lying, ungrateful bitch. Mum will kiss my cheeks, pretending she doesn't notice my boy's clothes and short hair, and then she'll slam me in an isolation cell until the flood turns me into a monster. Into Seraph. Into a six-winged beast burning with holy fire, leading graces and the flood to war, carving a path to heaven through the bodies of non-believers. I don't take his hand. I don't want to go home. My stomach seizes and I vomit onto the road. It's yellow, red, and black, sour and hot all the way up my throat. Around me, click, click, clack. A choir of safeties coming off. But the angels won't shoot. They won't kill me. Imagine what the faithful would do to the soldier that did. He'd be crucified. He'd be cut open and he would die watching maggots squirming in his intestines. Hey! Brother Hutch snaps at the soldiers. Stand down now. I heave again. Nothing comes up except acid. Brother Hutch hums softly, and it's such a kind sound it's terrifying. There we go, he murmurs. He rubs small circles between my shoulders. It's okay. My words come out in an unsteady wheeze, bubbling with saliva. Don't touch me. All right, Brother Hutch says. I understand. I heard what your father called you. Ben, was it? I'll call you Ben if that's what you want. Your mum is worried about you, Ben. She wants to make sure you come home. Mum's not worried about me. She's worried about salvation. I say, rot in hell. That does it. Brother Hutch snarls and hauls me up. I don't have to stand or even get onto my knees, just enough to look him in the eyes. His bloodshot, beady eyes. How about a deal? He says. I try to pull back, but he holds me tight. I'll give you a choice. You can come with us the easy way, or we can take you by force. You can come to your senses, or I can break your legs. He's smiling. It makes his face shine in the ugliest way. A mask can never hide that. It's up to you. How do you want to do this? There's something on his cheekbone. A splatter, strangely soft and pink. A little piece of meat. A little piece of Dad. I spit in his face. Brother Hutch howls. Watery flood rot, saliva mixed with my own putrefying insides, drips into his eyes before he can wipe it away, and I'm backhanded so hard my vision explodes with sparks. My hearing dissolves into a high-pitched squeal. I barely catch myself before my head hits the road. It's not contagious, a bridge guard says, yanking Brother Hutch's hands away from his face. It isn't contagious, brother, Sister Kipling said. I'm kicked onto my back. Hot asphalt burns through my shirt. Loose gravel digs into my shoulder blades. The heel of a boot pins me to the road and grinds into my stomach like it's trying to snuff out a cigarette butt. I know the man standing on me. The scar across his nose, his small eyes, the wrinkles digging into his forehead. Steve, I whisper, as if using his actual name instead of Brother Collins will make one of the Lord's holy murderers any kinder. Stephen, it's me. You know me. We met when I was 11 and he was 21, because we came to New Nazareth around the same time. I remember when he got his death squad markings, wings carved into his back, feathers from his shoulders to right where the ribs end. Theo stared at the raw tattoos the way little boys look at soldiers coming home from war. I stared at them the way little girls look at that one uncle their sister tells them to stay away from. Stephen lets up, just a bit, and I think it might have worked, but he's wrestling me up and pinning my head against his chest. He smells so much like sweat I almost taste it. A flick, and there's a knife to my throat. A thick one, with black blade glinting in the sun. You want to be a boy so bad, Stephen says. Think we can start cutting shit off? That's how this works, right? Can't get the word out. I shake my head. No. That's what I thought. To be a good girl and do what he says. I'm sorry, Dad. I'm sorry. I say, okay. Brother Hutch picks up the Bible from the bridge checkpoint as Stephen gets me into a set of whites and hooks a mask around my ears. A flimsy fabric mask worn only beyond the walls of New Nazareth, where we step beyond God's protection. Whore, Stephen whispers, glaring at my bulky denim shorts before they're smothered by robes. The bridge guards take their place behind the Jersey barriers, waiting for non-believers to stir up and angel messengers from distant camps to let through. The soldier by the grace gently coaxes it out from behind the cars, and its virus-melted body shivers in the humid breeze coming off the water. Lord, Brother Hutch cries, raising his free hand as if reaching for the body swinging overhead. Everyone joins him but me. Lord, how I praise you, how great you are in your never-ending mercifulness, to bring our blessed Seraph back to us. I will be good. I will be good. I will be good. I will keep Seraph hidden, locked up in my chest, whatever it takes to make sure the angels never get their weapon they made of me. But I'm just so tired of running. The death squad takes me away from the bridge, away from Akersfield County, and leads me through the streets of Acheson toward New Nazareth. I ask if I can clean myself, but they refuse, so Dad's blood is still on my face, hair, and hands. Get off! I smear it down my sleeves, but it's settled into the lines of my fingers and the creases of my palms. I want to stick my hands in boiling water. Get off, get off, get off! Stephen grabs my shoulders and shakes me. Shut the fuck up! I wince. That sort of language will never be allowed inside New Nazareth walls. Not even if you don't say it out loud. Mum said God would know anyway. Besides the soldiers and the grace dragging itself along with us, the only things we see all morning are abandoned cars and empty buildings. The world is only 2 years gone, so everything is almost exactly how it used to be. Clusters of stickers clinging to bus shelters, weeds springing up between cracks in the sidewalk, trees outgrowing their dirt squares in the concrete. A corpse hangs from a flagpole, and massive letters on the building behind it scream, "Repent, sinner." That's the way it works now. Everybody is dying, and it's just a matter of what kills you, whether it's angels or the flood or heat stroke or good old sepsis. For most of humanity, it was the flood. Theo's mum was martyred on Judgment Day, and he grieved her in the only way he was allowed, by learning everything. How the virus burned through billions, missionaries like his mum carrying it to every major city in the world. How it either kills you and a new set of ribs grows through your lungs, or how an unlucky few survive long enough to find salvation as a grace. How the death squads infect themselves with a taste of the flood at their initiation ritual, walking the fine line between taking a step closer to God and succumbing to the sickness. How Seraph is a balance of the flood's need to devour and its need to survive, ravenous enough to turn me into a monster, patient enough to do it right. Because Sister Kipling made the flood powerful, and she made Seraph perfect. She made me perfect. The grace rumbles, shaking like a horse twitching away flies. I come up to its hunched-over chest, maybe. When its mouth is closed, I can see remnants of the person, people, it used to be. Human teeth between serrated fangs, the remains of a button nose. Brother Hutch catches me staring. I avert my eyes, but it's not enough. He slows down to match my stride. In front of us, 2 soldiers peer at a map, murmuring about previous ambushes and new paths through the city. Acheson has been devouring angels lately. Isn't it amazing? Brother Hutch croons, spreading his fingers toward the grace. This new life they've been given. How merciful of our Lord to allow them to be born again, to become warriors in our fight for his plan. Just like you. Just like me. This is what I was chosen for the virus to turn me into a monster that will lead the angels to heaven, that will wipe humanity from the earth once and for all, just like God demanded. A little after noon, the youngest of the squad calls for a rest. We're on a wide street lined with restaurants and hipster offices sporting strange logos. Some were abandoned long before Judgment Day, thanks to skyrocketing inflation, rent prices, and everything, really. Water conservation flyers and open calls for protests peel off brick walls, next to eviction notices and going out of business signs. I haven't seen any bodies or angel propaganda for a few blocks. This must be a new path. I need a drink. the youngest soldier whines. I've been trying to place him the whole walk, but I keep coming up blank. Whose brother is he? Whose son? My feet hurt. Stephen shoves a water bottle against his chest. Then drink, stop complaining. I wouldn't take a break either if I were escorting my only sure shot at eternal life. But Brother Hutch says, he's right. Stephen's eye twitches above his mask. There's no point in wearing ourselves down. We're still an hour out from Reformation. Reformation? He means Reformation Faith Evangelical Church. Memories of the place come rushing back, and so does vomit in the back of my throat. I should have seen this coming. Reformation is halfway between the bridge and New Nazareth. It's the perfect place to rest in this beast of a city, and if I walk into that building, I'm going to lose it. If I walk into any church ever again. Sit, Brother Hutch says. Eat. Rest. All of you. Thank God, says the youngest, who immediately slumps against the hood of a bullet-scarred sedan. The others roll their eyes at him. He's scrawny and strange, not much older than me. Probably just graduated from training. His wings still aching, assigned to a squad that happens to get the most important task in the world. If he's as new as I think, I'm surprised somebody hasn't smacked him hard on the back yet, right where the tattoos are still painful. Theo used to complain about that all the time, back when he still had squad mates to complain about. Granted, I'm too big a deal for that kind of roughhousing. If Theo hadn't been exiled from the death squads, that could be him right there. My betrothed, staring at me with a mask and a gun. One soldier points at the road. The Grace folds itself up and sits, shuddering all the way down. There's enough grey matter left in the heads of Graces that they can be whipped into following basic commands. Sit, stay, kill. Stephen doesn't give me the dignity of following orders. He just forces me down to the curb. The others trade packages of food and their map, praying over their meals and clustering in the shade. The rookie squabbles for the map and jerks it out of someone's hand with a triumphant snort. I weave my bloody fingers together and press my lips to my knuckles like I'm praying too. If we're going to stop, I'm going to take advantage of it. There has to be a way out. If I can put some distance between me and the angels, any distance, I can lose them again. There's an old cafe behind us, and the glass door is shattered, revealing a path through a seating area with chic little tables, right to a back door labelled emergency exit. If I distract them long enough, I can do it. By the sedan, the rookie says, we're really close to where salvation disappeared. Everyone stops. An ease settles like a fog. I heard something about that a while ago. Squad Salvation went out to sweep a possible camp of non-believers last month and never came back. Mum held a service on the chapel lawn for them, lifting her hands to help them to their destined place with Jesus. The gift of eternal life now and in heaven forever. Not a funeral, though. Angels never hold funerals. Brother Hutch takes the map. We shouldn't be, he says. We're nowhere near the northeastern quarter. We should be fine. We should be... The Grey snuffles. We are, Brother Hutch says. Aren't we? Another soldier crowds in. I thought we were taking the long way around. I thought we were too, Brother Hutch says. Maybe we got turned around by the courthouse. Crack. A wound blooms across Stephen's throat, like someone aimed for the center mass and botched it, tearing his neck into a mess of meat and severed arteries. He stays upright for a second, gurgling, before he falls. We walked right into an ambush. The Grey screams long and loud and high. It clatters to its feet, and its mouth opens into a hole of teeth and spit, swinging toward the office building across the street. I jam myself against the sedan for cover. Brother Hutch slides into place next to me, cradling his rifle to his chest. Crack! The rookie stumbles in silence, eyes bugging. Crack! He's dead. The angels scatter. Some jump through the broken window of the storefront next door. Some duck behind the pickup parked in front of the sedan. Stephen's body stares at me, mouth open, a halo of blood spreading around his head. Where are they? Brother Hutch snaps. There! Someone shouts back, pointing to the top of the office building. Up there, backlit by the sun, a smudge of black. And it's gone. Brother Hutch pulls me down and hisses, Stay! Brother Hutch shatters. It's not a clean shot. The bullet nicks his eye and takes out a piece of his skull, blowing it open. I jerk back, slamming against the curb. Brother Hutch is gone. The man who watched with a gentle smile while Mum cleaned my scraped knee. The man who congratulated Theo and me on our betrothal and wished us a happy marriage through the Holy War. He's gone. His body sags. There are brains on the sedan. There are brains on me. Dad's shattered skull. There's blood in my mouth. If they want their monster, make them suffer for it. I'm on my feet, away from the sedan, up the cafe stairs, through the shattered glass door. I tear off the robes and yank down the mask. I just have to get to the back door. I can lose them. I can make it if I just... There's movement behind the coffee bar. The boy in black points a rifle at my chest. Chapter 3. The Angels describe themselves as an interdenominational Protestant movement founded in 2025 by Ian Clevenger, pastor and conservative Virginia state senator. However, they are described by critics as evangelical eco-fascists and a Christian terrorist group. What is eco-fascism anyway? The angelic movement explained. If the boy in black pulls the trigger, he'll kill me. I picture it, mapping each detail from Dad's body to mine. One shot to the chest to drop me, a second to the head to finish the job. His face, my face, caving around the bullet, sucked in toward the black hole of her eyes. It would keep Seraph out of the Angel's hands, if I were dead. Wouldn't it? Wait, I'm not with them! I'm begging the same way I pray before I can stop myself. Please don't shoot, please! The boy gestures with the barrel of the gun. Explain the whites. The whites. My robes. The robes I'm holding. I dropped them to the floor like they're burning me. It's not what it looks like. They kidnapped me. They made me wear them. Angels don't kidnap people. They just kill. Neither of us move. Every inch of the boy is smothered in black. Gloves, belt, heavy-laced boots. Even his mask is black, made with a thick fabric hiding everything below his eyes. The photo negative of an angel. A perfect copy of the shadow on the office building across the street. Is he going to shoot me? A heartbeat. 2, 3. He fires. There's no splitting of the sky this time, just a shriek as the world erupts into ringing. Heat scorches the edge of my ear, and blood trickles down my jaw. And he shot me. Oh, God, he shot me! Something heavy hits the floor. The boy grabs my arm. Down, I think he says. I can't hear him, and yanks me behind the coffee bar. We collapse against trash cans, plastic bags, and wash buckets. It smells like dust and dead roaches. I push myself away until my back hits the cabinets. The ringing starts to fade. Christ, I say, and cringe, like Mum's palm is going to crack against my cheek. But it doesn't. The boy just watches me. He's white as an angel under his black clothes. There's a half-confused crinkle between his brows like he isn't sure what he's seeing. You're bleeding, he says. I touch my ear. My fingertips come away red. There's been a lot of that today, I say, because otherwise I'm going to break down screaming behind a display case of mouldy pastry remains. He tears open a package of napkins. Here. He shoves a handful my way. I press them to my ear and it stings, but only a little bit. You're fine. You shot me, he says. There was an angel. I peek out from behind the counter. Lying on the floor, eyes wide, like this is all just some strange surprise, is a soldier. One of the ones I didn't recognize, with a simple wedding ring on his left hand. There's Brother Hutch, too, slumped against the sedan. The line of fire matches up perfectly. I pull back. Who are you? Nick. With that, Nick pushes me away and rests his rifle on the counter, trying to find a decent angle. It's no use. His field of vision will be garbage no matter where he sets up. There's no way he can get a good look at the street with the sedan and the cluttered windows. He couldn't have chosen this spot. I'm the pampered child of a church leader, and even I know you don't hold position alone. Especially not a bad position. I say. I'm Benji. He doesn't say, is that a girl's name? Or, like the dog from that old movie. His finger just taps the trigger guard. A heartbeat. How many are there? He asks. I do some quick subtraction. Brother Hutch, Stephen, the rookie, the wedding band. There are 3 now, plus the Grace. 3, Nick says. What's going on out there? All the sounds blur into a roar. Only angels call them Graces. Oh, for by grace you have been saved through faith, but by the grace of God, his grace is a gift, grace upon grace. Shakily I manage. They do? They do. I swallow hard. I didn't know that. That's it, I'm dead. He's going to take that gun and... He says, get up. What? He pulls me up beside him. I drop the napkins. The counter comes to my nose, and I can't see anything but dead bodies in the sedan. Maybe a sliver of the office building. Do you know where anybody is? Nick asks. I need you to tell me. There's, some in the store next door, and by the pickup truck, but that's, I gesture weakly to the side. All the way over there. Would be able to see them from the window seat? The window seat, all the way across from the cafe. I guess. I don't know. I don't get to finish. With the screaming of metal and glass, the grey slams out from the office building, contorting its body spider-like through the doors. There's a person in its mouth. A boy. It's pulling him, thrashing down the front stairs. Nick's tapping stops. This is nothing I haven't seen before. This is nothing I haven't done before. I whispered against de Grace's neck and turned the flood against the angels, but sick still wells in the back of my throat. This is what my power looks like. This is where the angels made me a monster. Bullets slam into the Grace's back, blowing apart what's left of its face, but it keeps moving. It drags the boy into the street, lifts him high like it's showing off a kill, and bites all the way down. The sound is thick and wet, like a soggy branch snapping underfoot. Pieces of bone glint in the sun. The boy does not make any noise at all as he drops to the ground, his severed leg dangling from the Grace's mouth. An angel cries, "The Lord is good!" And Nick says, "Cover your ears." I don't hesitate. I clamp my hands tight, but it's still so loud. A burst of 3 bullets. One hits the sedan, the other nicks the Grace's shoulder, and the other hits it right in what once had been the jaw. None do anything. Gore splatters the road, but the Grace just brings its giant clawed foot down, onto the boy's chest. His body gives instantly. Dozens of bones crack at once. There's a chorus beyond the ringing in my ears, the death squad howling praise and holy words like dogs. The Grace will hunt down every one of Nick's people and slaughter them. Nobody stands a chance against the Grace, the ones built into perfect blessings of war. Unless you get a bullet through what's left of its brain, or take off enough limbs that it can't come after you anymore, there's nothing anyone can do. Except Seraph. Except me. No, I promised I wouldn't. Evil begets evil begets evil. Giving in to Seraph is what the angels want. I promised I would be good. I can't. Dad told me to keep the monster hidden as long as I could. Chain it between my ribs, to never accept what the angels did to me. But if I sit back and watch them die, how can I call myself good at all? I wouldn't be ending lives. I'd be saving them. Turning away from Seraph isn't good if it means leaving people to be devoured. And I won't let the angels get their hands on me. I whisper stop. I don't have to say it loud, but if I don't say it at least to myself, it feels like I'm throwing my mind to the ether and letting it all fall. Mum always said I should pray out loud because it lets God know I'm not ashamed of my love for him. I say it again, softer. So small there's no sound, but it's there. Stop. 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 The Grace stops. The boy's leg falls out of its mouth. Piles of skin and knotted muscle twitch in fear, in confusion, in pain. If I whisper one more word, the Grace will turn on the angels with the scream of burning sinners, a choir of voices swallowed whole by the flood. It will break their spines and crush their skulls the same way it killed that boy. It would be so easy. What? Nick starts. I say, take the shot. Nick needs nothing else. He yanks the gun to his shoulder and lines it up. Between 2 shards of glass clinging to the window pane, above the sedan, into the gaping maw of the Grace's mouth, where it will hit the brain and turn it off like a light. One day, somebody is going to think the same thing about me. In the half a second between Nick deciding on the shot and reaching for the trigger, it dawns. This is my future. I've seen the failed Seraph trials. I've seen martyrs pull off their skin, desperate, afraid, aware. That's going to be me, and there's nothing I can do. Crack! It's a perfect shot. 1 bullet, instantaneous. Not like Dad, where I watched him bleed out from a gaping wound and pressed my hands to the raw meat of his chest, as if I could ever have helped. This borders on merciful. The grey stumbles, almost as if it's tripped, and falls in a jumble of limbs. I did it. I actually did it. It worked. It hurts. I fall and hit the cabinet. Pain bursts down like I swallowed hellfire, and my black liquefied guts come out of my mouth, and they're dripping onto my lips. I press my hands to my mouth because those are my insides. Those are my insides coming out, and maybe if I hold them in, they'll go back to normal if I just... There's a noise. My vision is a narrow, blurry point, or maybe my eyes are just squeezed shut. Something's touching me and I want it to stop. Another noise. I think it's a voice. The flood rot is bitter and way too sweet, the way a corpse smells sweet in the summer sun, and someone is saying my name. Lord, I kneel before you a sinner, have mercy, have mercy. Up here, Nick says. Benji, up here, focus on me. Benji. That's my name. The name I picked. Nick catches me by the shoulders and presses napkins against my face the way you'd clean a fussy baby. Look at me. When he's done, he pulls my mask up over my nose. Keep that there no matter what. Am I clear? The pain has settled into a throbbing ache like a bad period cramp. Bad. Really bad. But nothing I haven't felt before. Nothing I haven't survived before. Clear, I say. I shout. Nick! No matter what, Nick repeats and stands. Aisha, here! For a moment, the world is quiet. No gunfire, no screaming. Just footsteps on concrete. The cautious tweeting of birds. A black girl with tear streaks down her face steps into the cafe. I see her through the pastry case. Her black outfit is dirty at the knees and her knuckles are raw. She sees Nick, stops, and jabs a trembling finger at him. You, she whimpers, were supposed to stay with us. It's been a long time since I've heard somebody cry. Her voice hitches and tears hesitate at the corner of her eyes before finally falling, soaking the edge of her mask. You said you'd be right behind us, she says. You said. I'm okay, Nick says, impossibly calm. You and Faith made it without me. Fuck you! The girl, Aisha, stamps her foot. We thought you were dead too. Nick says nothing. Aisha's lashes flutter pitifully as the tears come faster. I'm sorry, she sobs. She can't be any older than me. Her fingers still have a little bit of baby fat below the knuckle. I'm sorry, I need to find the others. They can handle themselves. No, I need to. Okay, when you find Faith, bring her back here. Aisha's bloodshot eyes go wide. What's wrong? I can't handle anything else being wrong. I can't. Nothing else is wrong, just bring her back. Aisha hiccups and leaves. As soon as she's gone, Nick is back on the floor with me, his hands keeping me upright. Listen to me closely, he says. Do not call them graces. Do not call it Judgment Day. And do not take this mask off. Okay? I say okay. Nick says, breathe. A few minutes later, Aisha comes back with another girl in tow. Faith. She's a white-shaved head butch, taller than any of us and a few years older. Aisha's pinky is hooked through hers. Was told you wanted me? Faith says. Voice hoarse. You okay? Nick asks. Oh, she says, of course not. When they round the corner, they freeze. Faith sums it up. Shit. She crouches, tilting her head. Hey, bird, what's your name? When I can't answer, Nick cuts in. This is Benji. Not my dead name. Not Sister Woodside. My real name. Help me get them up. The girls bring me to my feet as Nick deftly moves my jacket to hide the black stains on my shirt. One of my knees gives out, and I slump against Faith's chest. Aisha's voice cracks when she speaks. All right, we got you. I manage. Sorry. Don't be, Faith says. It's okay. The angels are gone, Nick says. He's so close I could rest my head on him if I wanted. I want to. I'm so tired. You're safe now, I promise. There's a look in his eyes that's nothing like the girls. Like he's found something he'd lost for years. Like the final piece of some terrible puzzle. Chapter 4. Reject fear and hypocrisy. Find purpose and love on the path of the Lord. Join him in his grace and walk the path of eternal life. Find salvation in his plan. The Angelic Movement recruitment poster. What I remember. Aisha and Faith hold me steady. One asks Nick if there's any chance I'm infected. He shakes his head even though there's a spatter of sludge rot on his sleeve. A sunburned boy balancing Brother Hutch's head in his hands, cutting off his left ear with a knife. He does the same thing to Stephen, but can't walk by the boy smeared into the road. Bones stick out of him like monuments. Nick standing by the grace in silence. Finally, he wrenches out a tooth, prying it free with a knife of his own. My tongue running along my canines as I wonder how long it'll be until my mouth looks just like that. All of us standing together, perfect strangers on the battlefield, and it's almost like my prayers have been answered, amen. But I don't believe it for a second. I wake up on the floor. I recognize that much immediately. The crick in my neck, the carpet that's never plush enough to disguise the concrete underneath. I bury my face in my arms and groan. Finally, a sign of life, says someone beside me. You awake? No. I want to ask where I am, but it doesn't matter. Anywhere is better than New Nazareth. I could wake up in a cell, and as long as it wasn't angels on the other side of the bars, I'd be better off than I was. No, says the voice. Damn, all right. After a minute, I sit up by propping myself against the desk behind me. The room looks like an office. Books are scattered in piles on messy shelves. Papers are on every available surface. Certifications, newspaper clippings, and photos hang on the walls. Their glass frames dull like they haven't been cleaned since Judgment Day. As interesting as this is, though, I feel like shit. And so does the person in the chair across the room, if their scars and grief-reddened eyes have anything to say about it. The right side of their face is destroyed with pockmarks. One eye doesn't open all the way. Latinx, scarred face, and painted nails don't combine into a person I recognize. Who? Shit, we gotta do introductions. The stranger leans back, fingers lacing together as if to distract from the obvious tears. Name's Salvador. I was with the group that found you. I don't get to say hi before you passed out. Got stuck on babysitting duty, no offense, to make sure you didn't lose your shit when you woke up. I'm too tired for that. I've lost it enough for one day. So yeah, nice to finally meet you. Them pronouns. Right. Salvador was the one who pulled the sunburned boy away from the body. The memory is hazy, though. There's a fog in my brain I'm too tired to claw through. I recognize everything that's happened today from a distance, like the color's been bleached out by the sun. Dad's blood under my nails is the only evidence that he died today. That he died a few hours ago. Salvador watches me warily. Yeah, I say. Cool. Zem. I go through the rest of the set. Zem, zemself. I read about neopronouns in a book Dad smuggled from the burn pile of confiscated items at New Nazareth. He brought up the book again at our school night in the city, just a few days ago, when we sat in the dead stranger's bathroom and cut off 2 feet of my hair with sewing scissors. He apologized with every snip, certain he was ruining it. By the end, I was sitting in a pile of red-brown scraps and running my hands through my choppy, shaggy, awkward boy hair. I need to stop thinking about Dad. So I say, "Are you trans?" Salvador blinks. Wait, no, can't just ask people if they're trans. I shouldn't have... No, it's fine, Salvador says. I mean, yeah, of course. I'm super trans. Like, an honestly heretical amount of trans. Why? I've never met another trans person before. Can I say that? Would it give me away as an angel? I decided on, it's been a while. Then you're going to lose your mind when I tell you this is an LGBTQ plus youth center. Z's right. A what? Salvador gestures to the office. This is the Acheson LGBTQ plus center. Kind of like the YMCA, but even gayer somehow. We call it the ALC for short. Alk. Z pronounces it like it's some sort of medicine or maybe a hard liquor. An entire building just for people like us? It's not much, and we've had to make a few adjustments. Z nods to the boarded-up window beside their head. But it's home. A pause. Granted, Z mutters. Today's been shit, so... I'm sorry about your friend. Yeah, me too. Z tugs at one long curl of hair falling from behind the headband and changes the subject. Nick said you've been kidnapped? It's It's a long story. I mean, I figured, Salvador says. Angels don't kidnap people. They don't. They string up the heretics and cut them open. Maybe they make it painless if the non-believers come willingly. Hell, I remember a reverend praying to a newborn child before their parents drowned them in the river, repenting for bringing a sinner into the world without the church's blessing. There's no need for new flesh. Not with the flood. Not with Seraph. I thought that too, they say. Well, terrorists are terrorists, I guess. What I'm getting at is that Nick wants to talk to you. He's picked up some kind of scent, and he's not going to let up until he figures it out. So you might as well get it over with. Think you can manage? Manage? I can manage a hell of a lot. Whether it's a smart idea is another thing entirely. No better time than now. Thought so. Salvatore gets up with a stretch. Be right back. And don't try anything funny. Cormac is outside and he has an itchy trigger finger. It almost sounds like a threat, but before I say anything else, Salvador is gone. So, an LGBTQ center. I stand, bracing myself on the desk. Spent a lot of time in Sister Kipling's office over the past few months, staring at the sparse decorations to avoid looking at the prophet of Armageddon, the woman who created the flood. Sister Kipling had a crucifix above her door, framed diplomas above the desk, and "Walk His Path, Find Salvation, Return to Earth" painted across the black wall. This office is completely different. There's a rainbow flag behind the office chair, biography of trans rights leader on the bookshelf. One of the newspaper clippings is from all the way back in 2015, celebrating the legislation of gay marriage in the United States. I can't picture 2015. I don't think Mum and Dad had even met. Every picture shows a world I left behind when I was 11. A world the angels destroyed when I was 14. A world I don't know at all. I'm staring at a photo, people with their fists in the air, screaming with rage and power, when the door opens again. I shove my hands into my pockets. Back straight, chin up, like Mum is checking my posture at church. Salvador comes in with two people, Nick and a stranger. Nick takes a spot by the door like a guard dog, arms crossed. His hood is down and his combat mask has been traded in for a pale grey one that goes well with his overgrown black hair. Bobby pins are jammed near his temples and forehead to keep loose strands out of his face. He's cute. His dark eyes, sharp brows, the distant but curious tilt of his head. I dig my thumbnail into my finger where my engagement ring used to be. I'm still betrothed to Theo. I held his hand in front of the church and prayed to the world we were going to build together in Jesus' name. I promised to bring glory as God's fiery sword. Theo promised to fight beside me. We were perfect together. To think like this about anyone else is wrong, no matter what Theo did to me that night. The stranger says, "Hey, Sal," so impossibly soft, like Salvador might crumble if he hears anything other than a whisper. "You doing all right?" "As all right as I can be," Salvador says unconvincingly. "With everything?" "If it's not too much trouble, can you go check on Alex? Please? I haven't seen them in a while and I'm worried." Salvador disappears through the heavy wooden doors, and it's down to 3. The stranger is a doe-eyed and delicate black girl with a deep brown skin, dewy in the warmth of the office, and long braided twists decorated with thin golden bands. There isn't a shred of black in her clothing. Can't imagine it on her, not with the flowers on her mask and salvaged pastel eyeshadow. "You have blood on you," she says. I pick at a bit of it that's crusted on my jaw. "I get that a lot. We'll have to get you a bath and some extra clothes and..." She groans. "I'm so sorry. Today's been hell, I can't think straight. I'm Erin, and I use she/her pronouns. Sal told me you were excited to meet another trans person, so I hope meeting a second makes your day a little better." She's trans. She's trans too. "What name and pronouns do you want me to use for you?" I can say whatever I want, and that's what she'll call me. No questions asked. "Benji, short for Benjamin. He, him." It tastes so sweet that it almost wipes the memory of blood off my tongue. I would have smiled if I didn't have more important things to worry about. I collect myself. "Are you in charge?" "I wouldn't say I'm in charge," Erin says. "We don't really do in charge here." Nick says, "We do." "Well, you do, but I don't. Doesn't seem right." Erin brings one of her braids around the front and starts picking at the ends. "Everyone thinks I'm in charge because I volunteered here before that day, not because I was elected or anything. I'm more of an organizer. I like to think everybody's in charge a little bit." "Erin," Nick says. "Sorry." Erin sighs. "We are the closest thing the ALC has to someone in charge, yes. Nick says, and we have a deal for you. Shit. Aaron balks. I wanted to ease into that. No use. Nick steps away from the door. I counter with a half step back. Either he accepts or he doesn't. How we say it doesn't matter. I cut in. Accept what? Nick holds out a tri-folded document from his jacket. The red wax seal is broken, but I would know it anywhere. Folded wings at rest. The angels. Another half step and I hit the bookshelf. I check Nick and Aaron for weapons. Where did you get that? A messenger, Nick says, which translates to, I killed an angel and looted their body. Open it. It's okay, Aaron says. Go ahead, I promise. Deep breaths. It's fine. No matter what this is, it can't be worse than what the angels want. Right? Fine, I say. Okay, I'll open it, if you back up. Nick takes a respectful step away, and Erin ducks her head. In blocky, typewritten letters, it reads, New Nazareth Church of Grace, Church of the Angel, Church of the Lord, Reverend Mother Veronica Woodside of New Nazareth speaks. True believers of God's word, rejoice. The time has come. The Lord has blessed us with grace beyond our comprehension, a miracle beyond all. Eternal life is within our grasp, for we have found our way to Seraph through my dead name. My dead name is right there on the paper. It's only been a week since I last heard it, but it still feels like a knife to the chest. And it's on the official announcement of my recognition as the true Seraph. Copies of this announcement left New Nazareth in the bags of messengers who broadcasted it to camps across the world. News would reach colonies on almost every continent. Soldiers embedded in the ruins of every country. And what a joyous day it would be. Now every angel knows that after 19 failed trials, 19 false seraphs, I will finally lead them to heaven. Except my name is Benji, and they don't have me anymore. I whisper, What do you want from me? So you are Seraph, then, Nick says. Erin looks away from us both. I stammer. You weren't sure? I wasn't, Nick says. Could have been a failed trial who escaped. Could have been a sick kid who just got lucky. Tricky bastard. Hey. Erin leans forward a bit to catch my eye. I lean away and turn. We're not going to hurt you. The ALC was built to help queer teenagers, and that's what it's always done. It's just that the specifics have changed in the past few years. She folds the document closed in my hands. We want to help you escape. What? No, that can't be. That can't. But we need to figure out how to do it, she says. We have 2 ideas, and all you have to do is tell us which one you like best. Okay? Nothing is ever this easy. There has to be a catch. But what if they're telling the truth? Not everyone is as cruel as the angels. Dad wasn't. Theo wasn't, for a time. Kind people exist. I know that. I can take a chance on this. Tell me. Erin lights up. A switch is flipped, her face beaming despite the fog of death hanging over her. The first option is that Nick and the others will get you out of Acheson and into Akersfield County. The path will suck and you'll have to stick it out on your own own at the end, but we know a place where you can cross in the suburbs outside the city. I stare at her, awestruck. Get out of the city and we won't have to worry about a giant monster stalking around in a few weeks. It's a win for everybody. I imagine the weight taken off her shoulders, knowing Seraph is far away from her and the ALC. That the angels will never get their hands on me, and her friends can go back to preparing for the deadly heat and droughts of the upcoming summer, instead of worrying about monsters like me. And it's what Dad wanted. I could just do it. Take their help and meet up with his memory in the farmland like I promised. But could I really manage the whole world alone? Without him? Quietly, I ask. An option 2? Erin's brows pull up, just a little, into something like worry, and Nick says, What have the angels done to you? What? The truth is, the real question is, what haven't they done? Mum snarling in the living room when I was little, threatening to press kidnapping charges if Dad tried to take me away again. Glittering wounds gouged into Theo's back, shallow like tide pools, as his father held up angel wings he'd been deemed unworthy of. The smell of mass graves and shit. Watching the world wink out of existence, community by community, family by family, when no one on earth deserved a fate that cruel and lonely. Nick reaches into his jacket again, and this time he takes out a folded knife as black as his uniform, as black as rich earth. He presses a small lever, and the blade springs out with a snap. An angel knife, the same kind Stephen held to my throat. Just like I realized, the ALC's guns are angel guns. stolen from their dead bodies and turned against them. He says, because you could join us. The angel killers. I'll be good, I'll be good, I'll be good. Take their greatest weapon, Nick says, and make them pay. You'll escape by making sure there's no one left to chase you. You'll make them suffer what they did to you. Make them suffer. On the surface, there's no way to do that and be good. They're commandments at each other's throats. But I found more good in helping Nick, in whispering to the Grace, that I ever could if I kept Sarah hidden. Maybe, if I join the ALC, I can do both. Nick holds the knife out to me, the blade between his dirty, bruised fingers. He trusts me, even after seeing the letter, even knowing what I'll become. I take the handle. Feels like there's something writhing in my gut and erupting into screaming fury. 6 wings outstretched and crying, holy, holy, holy. Feels like a chance to be anything but what the angels made me. Chapter 5. Today we learned what God has asked his followers to do. We learned the truth of the righteous path. Will you follow it too, as your parents have done? Will you find love and eternal life? Or will you rot on the wall and in the fields with the rest of the sinners? Sister Mackenzie's Sunday school lesson. Erin offers to show me around the ALC, and Nick gives a half-assed excuse for why he can't come along and disappears. Erin offers, the scrunched expression under a floral mask telling me she's stepping carefully. He's got a lot on his plate right now. Stay here, okay? I'll get you some water and a change of clothes. She asks what underclothes I use, and I turn red as I ask for boxers and a sports bra. In exchange, I get a bucket of murky water, a rag, and an outfit a size too big. The water's safe, she assures me. Just use a little, is all. By the time I'm done washing myself, the water is disgusting. I stare at it for too long, because now that all Dad's blood is gone, I'm realizing I no longer have anything to remember him by. Erin gathers me when I'm done changing, noting my freshly washed hair and clean face with a soft tilt of her head. Looking better already. I'm glad I look better. I had to resist the urge to rinse my mouth out with blood water, as if that would get rid of the taste of the flood. Ready? Walking into the ALC is like walking into a funeral home. The boy's death had gotten into the walls and under the floorboards of this place. He lurks behind faded pride flags and flyers advertising STD tests and water restriction protocols. He's even made his way between the wires of an ugly ham radio sitting in a back corner of the lobby. Teenagers and young adults of every shape and size have huddled together, refusing to look up. One mends cloth face masks in silence. Another slumps by a barred front door, resting their forehead against the wall. Most of us were here on that day, Erin whispers, and I make note of the proper term to use. She shows me around the gaunt kitchen and food pantry. We had a great summer program for at-risk teens, so when everything happened, a lot of kids just didn't leave. She takes me to the chalkboard near the barred front door, where people volunteer for chores like cleaning, cooking, and guard duty. There are about 40 names. One section is separated. The Watch. I recognize all the names written there. Nick, Aisha, Faith, Cormac, Salvador, and a fresh smudge. Cormac must be the sunburned redhead I remember cutting off ears. Smudge is the dead boy. Could have gone home, I guess, Erin says, gesturing for me to follow. But I was too worried about everyone, so I stayed behind. You can see how well that went. At least it's easier to transition when the rest of the world is gone. Someone steps aside to let us down a narrow hall, eyes downcast. Erin's voice is quiet with sadness. I mean, all the hormones are either expired or spoiled, but at least there are no transphobic relatives to worry about anymore. I don't want to think about hormones. Even if they weren't years too old or baked by the summer heat, I won't be in this body long enough for it to matter. How did you all survive? I ask instead. The angels made it as long as they have to sheer numbers, strict travel protocols, and culling people at first sign of infection. The ALC doesn't seem to have enough people or supplies to pull that off. Well, some of us didn't, but if I had to guess, it's some combination of, I don't know, timing, location. Sadaf's parents were doctors and Aisha's were doomsday preppers, so that helped. And luck, maybe? There's got to be some credit due for the scared kids who locked ourselves in and waited for adults to come save us, even if they never did. She shakes her head as we get to the storeroom. Whatever it was, things got easier when Nick picked up the slack. He can be rude in making sure people stay safe, but he's good at what he does. Anyway, here are the pads and tampons if you need them. Just try to be stingy, okay? My face flushes. I really don't want to think about being on my period and having to deal with Seraph at the same time. Shedding my insides out one orifice is what is more than enough. Okay. Our last stop is the gym, which has been rebuilt into dozens of one-room apartments the size of closets. Sheets stand in for the doors. A few femmes linger in the narrow pathways, and they watch me the way deer picks up their heads when they think a wolf might be nearby. One apartment at the back of the gym is mine. It's much smaller than my dorm at New Nazareth, but it's perfect. Nick and I think it's best to let you get some rest before you make your final decision, Erin says while I push aside the sheet. Even though I took Nick's knife, it's not a done deal. So take it easy, okay? Thank you, I say, even though it isn't nearly enough for what they've done. Really? Erin pauses for a moment and says, Trevor's funeral will be in a few days. I don't want to push, and you don't have to if you don't want, but I think it'd mean a lot to his partner if everyone came, just to show their support. Trevor. The boy's name. The boy with bones like monuments. Turn it over in my head. Such a normal name. Normal like Stephen's and everyone else's. I'll be there, I promise. If grief gets caught in my body like it's tangled up with burrs, the least I can do is to support the people who can actually feel something. The least I can do is help the people who are helping me. That's what it means to be good. I don't mean to lose the rest of the day, but as soon as my body recognizes I'm safe, it shuts down on me. No guns, no graces, and my brain is out like a light. I barely have time to pull the curtain door of my apartment closed. If I was on the fence about trusting the ALC before, my body has made the call for me. And my body has also made the call to whisper as I press the heels of my hands into my eyes and topple onto the mattress. Thank you, God, thank you. Before I know it, I'm waking up the next morning, disorientated and dry-mouthed. There is no cross on the wall watching me sleep, no Bible waiting for me to open my eyes. The strange pattern on my sheets is penguins and polar bears. I roll onto my back and stare at the bare plywood. Penguins and polar bears. Have all the animals of Earth been doing better without us? 2 years isn't nearly enough for Earth to recover. Even late spring can be deadly hot, and I haven't seen snow since I was really little. Even though Dad told me it used to snow in Pennsylvania every year. The world must have gotten at least a bit better, right? What a terrible thing to wonder. That's Mum in my head. All the Sunday school lessons, all the preachers at the pulpit, finding reasons for why the slaughter of 9 billion people was God's righteous plan. I put on my shoes and push aside the curtain. Outside the apartment, early morning sun comes in through small windows at the gym ceiling. In the narrow path between rooms, I'm just someone else getting ready for the day. One of all the people stretching, leaning over the tops of their rooms to whisper to a friend, groggily wandering out into the lobby. More pride flags hang from the walls and drawings are tacked next to torn-out pages of books and other tokens, necklaces and charm bracelets and all sorts of things held up to ward off evil. More than anything, the ALC is quiet. Good morning and wake up, asshole, and go get the job before someone takes it, are all whispers, from raspy to gentle and everything in between, but never loud. As if angels are pressing their ears to the outside, waiting to strike if they hear the smallest sound. Following a voice's advice, I go out to the chalkboard. 40 names wait for the day's chores, with the watch in the corner. A boy picks up a piece of chalk from the bottom of the board and jots his name down for maintenance duty. Sarmat, he spells out and hands it to me. I need to do something, make up for the ALC taking me in, or give my hands something to do to keep them from shaking. Give my head something to focus on beside the rot trickling between my fingers. I scrape my name down under cleaning duty. Benji. It's the first time I've written it. That's me. That's me. I savor it until the person behind me clears their throat. I pass the chalk along. I skip breakfast. I'm not hungry and I don't want to bother anyone by asking what the food protocols are here, and end up in the kitchen with a rag and a small bucket of soapy water. Grey water, no good for drinking. The kitchen is bright with glaring paint colours, trying and failing to liven up the Spartan room. A few people in the back huddle around plates of scavenged food. By the sink, Faith makes coffee on a battery-operated heating coil. My head spins at the scent. I haven't smelled coffee since Mum brought us to New Nazareth. It's so sweet and strong I can almost taste it. I set my bucket down on the counter and lean against the sink. It's not a sink that works since there's no running water, but still. Faith looks over with a start. Scared me for a second there, she says, rubbing the bags under her eyes. Even though she has more muscle than most people have a foot on me, she looks small. You're so quiet. Benji, right? Yeah, I just wanted to... How am I supposed to word this? Thank you for what you guys did yesterday. I'm really sorry about your friend. People die, Faith says roughly. He knew what he was getting into when he joined. Her throat tenses as she turns back to the coffee, watching it brew. You want some? This is for Aisha, but I think I made too much. She'll be pissed if I waste it. I'll try it. Faith raises an eyebrow. You've never had coffee before? No? Should I have? Maybe not. You're like, what, 14? 14 was probably just her being polite. I could be mistaken for 12 on a bad day. Dad used to say my baby face would serve me well when I grew up, so I considered it a waste. 16, actually. I'm teasing, Faith says. Give it a shot. When the coffee's done, she gives me a swallow's worth in a mug. It smells amazing, but it's so dark it's almost black. I remember it being a nice warm brown in movies. I carefully pull down my mask and bring it to my lips. Oh no. I cough and splutter. A few heads turn. This tastes like dirt. For the first time, Faith manages to laugh and takes a handful of brightly coloured sugar packets from the drawer beside me. There aren't many left. Yeah, it's awful. That's why you don't drink it plain. You want sugar? I think we can spare some. No, thank you. I think you've put me off it forever. More for the rest of us. Actually, have you seen Aisha? I don't want this to get cold. Faith leans against the wall to wait, and I start scrubbing the counters. It's relaxing. Sweeping, cleaning up, doing things with my hands. In New Nazareth, it never mattered that I was the only child of Reverend Mother Woodside. I still had to do chores like everybody else. There's something about menial work that lets your brain go quiet. Something satisfying in the way your arms and feet ache afterwards. Something to be proud of in looking across a clean room and knowing you've done your part. Even then, I'm watching Faith from the corner of my eye, the shaved stubble of her head and the scars above her low-cut tank top. That kind of outfit would get her torn to pieces in New Nazareth. There's so much freedom here, and so many different kinds of people too. I swear I've seen more non-white faces than white. I spent the last 5 years of my life looking at so many shades of white people that I've been doing double takes and gluing my eyes to my shoes because that's rude. What gets me most of all, though, is that everybody here is a non-believer. All of them. Not a single one believes in the angelic movement. Not a single one has given themselves to God in the exact way the angels demand it. Every person is someone I've been taught to hate since I first stepped foot in New Nazareth. I checked Nick and Aaron for weapons and demanded they back away. I felt tension in my shoulders so hard the past few hours that they hurt, and the ALC has done nothing but offer me coffee and a place to sleep. I'm an asshole. Thanks for the brain rot, Mum. Truth is, I'm the person they should be worried about, not the other way around. I can't let anyone but Nick and Aaron know what I used to be, because they'll want me dead, and I won't blame them. I have to figure out the rules for the ALC the way I figured out the rules for New Nazareth. Rule 1, be careful with religion, even if Faith is wearing cross earrings, even if her name is Faith. I really want to ask about the earrings. They're the first crosses I've seen in days besides the one carved into the dead. After a second of scrubbing a stain off the countertop, I decide my best course of action is to not ask at all, but to point it out, no judgment implied. I like your earrings, I say. Faith reaches up to touch them, eyes widening a bit in surprise. What, these? Her hand jerks away. They don't mean anything, she says defensively. I just thought they were pretty. Her tone takes me off guard. They are. They were my mum's. We stopped going to church when I was 10 anyway. It doesn't mean anything, really. Her chest heaves. Her gaze won't meet mine. It's fine, I assure her. Do people give you trouble for it? For the earrings? For going to church? No, nobody does. Sorry, I'm overreacting. I put the rag back in the bucket. We're the only two on this side of the kitchen. For what it's worth, we might as well be alone. So I say, can I ask if you believe in God? Faith blinks at me. It's not a trap, I say, I swear. She immediately falls into a ramble like she's been waiting for someone to ask. I do, actually, and I'm still trying to figure out how I feel about that. Talking to friends. You know, Sadaf is Muslim, Salvador is Catholic, Carly is Jewish, to see if anything clicks. Or if I'm just going to have to deal with believing in the same kind of God those motherfuckers do. Even though I flinch at the sudden swear, her cheeks push up into her eyes. The way it happens when someone is actually really smiling. You know, the first time I brought it up to Sadaf, She couldn't stop laughing. I felt like an asshole. I guess what I'm saying is I believe in something, and I don't know what to do with it. And maybe I don't actually believe in anything at all, and I just want to because I hate the idea of Trevor being faced with nothing. A moment of silence. It's not awkward or anything. Just a second of respect for the dead. I'm sorry, Faith says again. I don't mean to be so... No, I get it. I've been thinking a lot about it since he... You know. I know. Faith says, what about you? What's going on in your head? Before I can answer, Aisha wanders into the kitchen, rubbing sleep from her eyes. Faith mouths sorry and grabs the mug from the cabinet. I smell coffee, Aisha mumbles. That's because I made some. Faith pours a cup and sets it gently in Aisha's hands. Take it easy today. You don't have to. Please take the coffee. You can't act like nothing's wrong. Faith's smile wavers, light dropping from her eyes for a second. Please, let me have this. Aisha accepts the mug, bringing down her mask to take a slow, tentative sip, and her eyes close in exhaustion for just a moment, perfectly still, like if she moves, she'll shatter into a million pieces. Under her mask, she's put on a pretty red lipstick that stains the rim of the mug. Faith's question latches on with teeth. What's going on in my head? What do I believe? How much of it is me, and how much of it was put there? I don't know. Over the course of the day, a few other people introduce themselves, and I fumble through the parade of awkward conversations. One is with another trans guy, Calvin. When I turn down the offer of a chest binder, I never really cared about flattening my chest. He scrunches up his nose, and scrunches up his nose like I smell bad, and says he has something else to do. The only person I managed to hold a decent conversation with is Sadaf, a black hijabi girl with a medical textbook who asks me to visit her if I ever feel even slightly under the weather. Never hurts to be proactive, she says, smiling so wide her eyes close a little bit. What do you do if someone gets infected? I ask. She says, I tell Nick. He takes care of it. I do the math, trying to recall how long the other Seraph trials lasted. The time it took for the other martyrs to fall apart, for the skin to come off in their hands. Instead of the flood's usual days, hours, Seraph has given me a precious few weeks. I can hide the vomiting and the pain, but by the end of February there will be no hiding anything. Nick said I would be okay. Erin said I would be okay. They promised. I know that. Right. Chapter 6. Our Lord's message is clear. Mankind has disappointed him once again. We have been tempted beyond salvation and have become a plague upon his earth. Our redemption, our eternal life, lies only in this. An eye for an eye, a plague for a plague. The Truth by High Reverend Father Ian Clavenger. Nick catches me at the chorboard the next morning while I'm debating between cleaning duty or helping Carly fix the rain barrel, which sprung a leak in the night. He takes the chalk out of my hand. You're with us today. Meet me in 10. That's how I end up at the back door of the ALC with Nick, Salvador, and the sunburned boy, Cormac. Cormac is tall and sharp with long red hair and a rifle, and he greets me with, Great, we have to babysit a middle schooler too. Nick, Salvador says, clasping their hands together in supplication. I am literally begging you to let me hit him. Please, just once. Trevor would want me to. Nick goes through each of us in turn. Benji, ignore him. Salvador, not funny. Cormac, one more word and I will look the other way. Am I clear? Clear, Salvador chirps. Cormac scoffs. My contribution is ignoring Cormac altogether and saying, So what are we doing anyway? Salvador slings an arm over my shoulder. The sudden touch startles me. Its ears warm and strong, and I don't exactly mind it. You know how Cormac's been cutting off all those ears? Believe it or not, he doesn't just do that for fun. Cormac snarls. Choke on a dick. And Salvador shoots back. Maybe you can give me some pointers. Nick shoves them out the back door and into the courtyard like unruly children, and they squabble for a second before disappearing further into the grass. A clatter of wood and metal later, they're dragging a wheeled cart toward the gate to the street. If you're thinking about joining the watch, Nick says, might as well get a taste for what we do. I step out into the sun, squinting up at the early morning clouds. It's a beautiful day. Don't want to keep the vanguard waiting. The city park, Wagner Commons, according to the sign, has become an infant forest between skyscrapers and dead streetlights. Benches lie in a gravel path grown through with weeds, and the pond is choked with filth. Squirrels chase one another around a towering maple with a body lashed to its trunk. Flies buzz in a shifting cloud, surrounding the caved-in skull and cross-carved into the stomach. Bodies like this hang in a long, stinking row on both sides of the New Nazareth Gate. They're everywhere in this city. Shit, Cormac mutters. His trigger finger twitches. Is that? Nick holds out a hand. It's old. Still, Salvador says. The four of us give the execution a wide berth as we trudge toward the meeting spot at the edge of the pond. It's a pavilion, a roof on stilts above a concrete slab, the kind of things family used to rent for birthday parties. There's even a sad little grill, blackened with ash. Nick and I pull the sled up beside one of the picnic tables. I switched off with Salvador a few blocks back because I felt bad for not helping, and Cormac glares out at the wavering fields. He growls. They said they'd be here. Along the way, Nick explained the Vanguard. They're a militia group on the other side of the city, made up of a collection of families sitting on top of a hell of a lot of supplies. If I ever heard about them in New Nazareth, I can't remember. We prayed for the destruction of the non-believers' strongholds, but never anyone in particular. I feel the knife Nick gave me in my pocket. Mum's horror stories about non-believers scream uncomfortably in my skull. Nick wouldn't have given me the knife if this were all the setup, right? If he was just going to hand me back to the angels, the death squads might make an exception to their no survivors rule in exchange for getting me back. We still have some time. Salvador squints at the sun. It's not even noon. Not even noon, Cormac repeats. God. I bite the inside of my cheek at the Lord's name being taken in vain, on alert for a grown-up to overhear and scream at us. I'm going to do a sweep. Come with me or not, I don't care. Nick sighs. Salvador, make sure he doesn't get himself killed. Salvador perks up. Commissioner deck him if he starts saying stupid shit again? Not answering that, be safe. They both walk away and it's just me and Nick. I sit on the edge of the concrete in a path of sun that shifts as bare trees' branches move in the breeze, and I don't let my hand off the knife. New Nazareth had a lot of green places like this. Lawn and wooded areas, creeks and bridges over gullies. I first kissed Theo in one of those little forests. We were 14 and barefoot in the dirt, obsessed with each other because juvenile crushes meant we could forget about the world, choking to death beyond the walls. I could pretend I didn't hate the way my body looked in a dress if that meant Theo would touch me again. Nick says so quietly that I know exactly what he's talking about. When did you join? My head snaps up to where Cormac and Salvador are drifting out of earshot. What kind of question is that? I open my mouth to protest. Are you trying to get me shot? But I want to talk about it. You can't talk about how much it sucks to be an angel to other angels. I tried that once, and look where that got me with Theo. Mum took us to New Nazareth when I was 11, when the High Reverend Father put out the call to the faithful. If you know what that is? The cloister order, Nick says. Yeah, the cloister order. Mum wasn't planning to go, said she had more work to do on the outside, but she was offered a place at the head of the church, and she wasn't about to turn that down. I leaned back on the concrete. A flock of birds swirls overhead. I was 11. Got pulled out of 6th grade. Never did learn how to do algebra. But I can recite the Book of Revelation from memory, which I'm sure is an equally useful skill. The revelation of Jesus Christ, which God gave unto him to shew unto his servants things which must shortly come to pass. Were you involved with the death squads? Nick asks. Only because my boyfriend was. Calling Theo my boyfriend is easier than explaining that we were engaged. That we still are, even if I don't wear the ring anymore. And I'll die before I go back to him. I went to his initiation ritual, if that means anything. He got kicked out, though. I went to Reformation Faith Evangelical Church and watched as Theo kiss the mass of flesh rooted to the altar. I touched his wing tattoos and pretended to love them because he did, and then held him where those wings were ripped off. He just believed so much. In the church, in the angels, in Seraph, in me, because those were all the same thing, really. You could have cracked open his chest and read Gospels in his entrails. If I hadn't told him how much I hated Seraph, he probably would have died for me one day. And no matter what he did to me, I still love him. The edge of the knife's handle digs into my fingers. For some reason, I still do. I keep talking. I feel like I'm going to mess this up. Like I'm going to do or say something awful because I was raised like that. Nick grunts in reply. I don't know what to do about it. I don't want to hurt anybody, and that's hard when I'm some kind of monster. Nick finally turns his gaze on me. There's a strange expression drawn between his eyes, one I can't read. Are you a monster because you were an angel, he says? Or because you're Seraph? Shit, either. Does it matter? The flock of birds finds a spot in the tree with the body. Across the pond, Salvador throws a rock into the water. Nick takes something out of his pocket. A toy lizard made of beads about the size of his palm. The bright yellow beads border on ugly. He rolls them between his fingers a few times. I'm autistic, he says. I splutter. Oh! Not because of anything bad, but because he suddenly makes a lot more sense. Autism was hardly talked about in New Nazareth. When it was, it got the God never sends trials we can't handle, and I'm sure it's a blessing in disguise treatment. Sometimes it was accompanied by glances at the culling fields. Can't make Nick fit that mold no matter how much I twist him. If I can figure out how things work, he says, so can you. Right, is all I reply. And take these. He presents me with a set of bobby pins from his jacket. His pockets are never-ending wells of little things. Your hair is getting in your face. Then he holds up a hand. Across the algae-choked pond, there are people, and one has a gun raised in greeting. They're not angels. I take my hand off the knife. This is the Vanguard? This is a group of middle-aged white men. Okay, 4 white men and 1 white woman. But the angels have made it painfully clear that's no better. Made entirely of wraparound sunglasses and pilfered army fatigues. They've sewn monochrome American flags and skull patches onto their sleeves, and one even holds his gun with the barrel pointed down between his legs as if to make up for something. I get the feeling I should be grateful they're wearing masks, even if 2 have their noses peeking out over the top. Salvador leans over my shoulder to whisper, Yeah, I know. Cormac shushes us. Morning, kids, one says, almost high-pitched, the way you talk to elementary schoolers. Morning, Joey, Nick drones in return. His head is at an angle that could almost be cocky, eyes cold and tired. Even with his mask, there's an edge to his expression I can't look away from. I am betrothed, I remind myself, which has no impact on the fact that I am very gay. I dig my nails into my ring finger instead. The Vanguard, 5 people and 12 firearms strong, which is way too many even by angel standards, claims the opposite table, hoisting their own sled on top. It's covered by a dusty tarp. A guy in the back eyes Cormac like a competitor, as if Cormac isn't half his age. Another stares at Salvador as if he's trying to figure them out, which has so many racist and transphobic implications that the air goes thick with it. The one woman crinkles her eyes at me and says, You're a new one, aren't you, miss? The word miss hits hard, the way Sister Woodside did. A knife between the ribs and into the lungs that takes all the breath out of me. For the first time in my life, I defend myself out loud. I'm not a girl. That's it. That's all I have to say. I'm not a girl. The world doesn't fall apart. The woman doesn't spit at me and call me a failure of God's vision for my girlhood. She just mutters, Right. Should have guessed. As if to cut the tension obviously building in the pavilion, Joey pulls the top off the sled. Let's make this quick. It's something out of Isaiah 25. A feast of wines, of fat things full of marrow. Cases of water bottles, boxes brimming with canned fruits, vegetables, and tuna. And is that peanut butter? Bars of soap, packs of socks and tampons, batteries, hand sanitizer, and salt. The plastic gleams hard and sharp in the sun, but it might as well be the shimmer of precious metal. This is all we could get on such short notice, Joey says. Water, non-perishables, hygienics. Oh, we couldn't spare the antibiotics. Nick huffs, but hopefully oxycodone makes up for it. Let's see the goods. Nick nods to Cormac, who offers a bag to the woman who'd misgendered me. Should be 7, Cormac says. Brother Hutch, Stephen, the rookie, wedding ring, 3 others whose faces I didn't recognize and should have. The ears come out one by one. Each is held up to the sun, pinched between the woman's gloved fingers, her eyes narrowing as if searching for something. The ears look strange all on their own, discolored and rubbery, like they came from a costume shop and got fake blood all over them. As she clears each one, it gets placed on the bench beside her. A little parade of body parts, all ears, all left ears. Probably so the watch can't be accused of doubling the numbers. She pulls out a mangled, fleshy mess, Brother Hutch's left ear, or what remains of it. "The hell is this?" she demands. "An ear," Cormac says. "What does it look like?" She turns it over, inspecting it one more time. "I'm not calling you a liar, but I am saying..." Without breaking eye contact, she flings it into the grass beyond the pavilion. "Not good enough." I almost protest. But Nick says nothing, so I say nothing too. He just crosses his arms, eyes flickering shut as if begging himself to keep his composure. Thankfully, the rest of the ears are fine. There are 6 now, a little 2x3 set resting on the woman's thigh. That's when she gets to the grace tooth at the bottom. She hands it over to Joey. And this? He says. Nick answers, an abomination tooth. Not a grace. Abomination. I tuck the vocabulary away for later. Abomination, Leviticus 20:13. If a man also lie with mankind as he lieth with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. Deuteronomy 22:5. The woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment. For all that do so are abominations unto the Lord thy God. Mum's voice, hissing behind my shoulder the way the devil spoke through the fangs of a snake in Eden. What makes you think this is worth anything to us? Joey says. It's another thing out of the city. How is Nick's voice so calm? It's what you asked for. For all we know, this is one of those little... Joey makes a skittering motion with his hand. Those little bastards. Not anything dangerous. A lot of graces aren't actually aren't the massive, terrifying monsters the angels have adopted into their ranks. Graces like those are a rare blessing, where the massive mutations create something useful. Most of the time, your body shatters into something just shattered. Dad and I found one a few days ago. A person turned inside out, lungs bulging as they gasped for air again and again. That's when it dawns. The Vanguard are too afraid to do this themselves. With all the skulls and flags, the firepower and muscle, they can't handle what the Watch does. They're too scared to fight back, so they're using kids to do it instead. Nick says, it killed our friend. Silence. Right, Joey finally says. The tooth goes next to the ears. My condolences. Is that enough for you? Nick says. I can hear the grit of his teeth, the tension in his jaw. You've done what you wanted. Joey says, it'll have to do, and turns to the man beside him. 2 cases and all boxes but the big one. The big one. The one with fresh socks sticking out at the top and pill bottles peering from the seam in the cardboard. Salvador cries, what the fuck, man? Cormac lurches forward like he's itching for a fight, and Nick just makes a quiet, broken sound. Even I can't help myself. You can't do that, I protest. I turn to Nick. Can they do that? They can't just do that, right? Stand down, Nick warns us. One of those ears just wasn't up to snuff, Joey says. Sorry if we're a little cautious these days. We're low on supplies too, everybody is. We've decided what's worth it. I'm sure you kids understand. We made, Nick grits out, a deal. And that deal, Joey says, is contingent on you doing your job. Look, kids, we go through a lot to get this to you. We're taking this away from our own wives and children on the promises that you make the city safer for us. I knew it. We thought it was a good deal at the time. And if this is all we get on our end, maybe our families will decide this isn't worth it. A threat. Nick crumbles. Fine, he says. His eyes drop to the floor and his fingers tighten around the bead lizard. This doesn't look right. This doesn't look like him. Fine, okay. That's what I thought, Joey says. Let's load you up. I grab a case of water and carry it over to the sled. There's probably 40 pounds and my hands ache when I set it down. I can feel the woman's eyes on my back and their eyes on all of us. Cormac lingers by one of the pillars holding up the roof, signed to a spot as a guard, glaring Joey down. Bunch of fucking assholes, Salvador whispers to me when our arms brush trying to put down the boxes. 2 cases and all boxes but the big one. Under the masks, their face twitches with rage. He looks like he's going to explode as soon as we're out of earshot. Can't fucking stand them. This is where the Watch fights angels. To trade pieces of flesh for supplies that are just stolen right back out from underneath them. Taunted with food and medicine. By grown-ups who talk down to them like they're toddlers. Grown-ups who should know better. A bunch of cowards. Nick shakes Joey's hand, sharp and quick. Bead lizard rattles. He's angry. We all are. They lost their friend to the angels, and this is all they get in return. Some water and disrespect. That settles it. This is what I want to do. I can help. I can make the angels suffer for it. I can do something. When we make it back to the ALC, we're swarmed with eager, curious people. It's the first excitement I've seen from them since I arrived. Someone offers to split half a canned peach with me in thanks, but I feel too guilty to eat it and wave Salvador over instead, because Zeal appreciated it more than I ever could. Now that I know where this comes from, now that I'm another mouse to feed, food might as well be wet cardboard. I'm sickened at the idea of taking it from a person who might need it more. I distract myself by tracking down Nick to tell him my decision, but he's nowhere to be found. Erin is so caught up trying to organize the food and the people that it would be a dick move to add one more thing to her plate. So I spend the rest of the day helping Sadaf catalog her dwindling medical supplies, even if, halfway through, I have to duck out into the courtyard, into the weeds in the back corner, to throw up more of my organs. A piece gets stuck in my throat. I have to pull it out with my fingers. Chapter 7. The Lord's gift is not an easy one to bear. It is painful. But the Reverend Mother says no blessings worth having comes without pain. You will suffer sickness, agony, and rage beyond your imagining. Bear it with dignity, for salvation is forever yours. But I would make it easier, God, if only I could. Sister Kipling's notes on the flood. Trevor's funeral is the next evening. The whole day, the ALC is still as a corpse. Nobody will so much as breathe until the oppressive taste of the air is gone, until the terrible thing seeping into our lungs is looked in the eyes. The funeral is held in the courtyard at the back of the ALC, boxed in by a bank and the gate. I can barely hold all 40 people, let alone the shoebox-sized open grave marked by a rock. I've never been to a funeral before. Angels look down on them. Mum's uncle died when I was 8, and her side of the family stopped speaking to her after she refused to attend the service. Funerals are a function of grief and therefore sacrilege. Loss is God's plan. How dare you grieve what was always his to take? It's getting dark, and the sky is orange and indigo. The only person not gathered around the grave is the sniper on the roof, who sits with her legs dangling over the edge. I'm the last one out. I ease the door shut behind me, where it hits the brick, keeping it propped open. People clump together like algae on the pond in Wagner Commons. The watch clusters by the gate. Erin stands behind the grave, whispering to someone I can't see, and Nick stands away from everybody, alone except for his bead lizard. Faith tries to wave me over to the watch. Aisha is leaning against her shoulder, desperately trying to wipe away tears. I wave back, offering a smile I hope comes across behind my mask, but make my way over to Nick. After watching him crumble in front of the Vanguard, I don't like the idea of him standing by himself. Or something, I don't know. Nick is focused on his lizard. He stares at each bead as he goes over it with his fingers. I like that we don't have to say anything. It's easier this way. Thank you all for being here, Erin says, just loud enough to carry across the courtyard and no more. Erin changes when she's in front of a crowd. There's no waver to her voice, no uncertain twitches or nervous tugs at her braids. The past few days have been difficult, and I'm incredibly proud of how we've soldiered through. But keeping a stiff upper lip for too long hurts everybody. It would mean a lot to Trevor that we're letting ourselves come together like this, even for just a little bit. How dare you grieve what was always his to take? I haven't been able to cry for years. The angels made sure of it. Mum made sure of it. I watched my father die, and all I did was keep it crammed in my chest where nothing can get out except my own literal guts. I watched his head cave around the bullet, turning his face into a bloody flower of skull and tongue, and I accepted it and kept running because I couldn't do anything else. Trevor was our heart, Erin says. A girl sobs into her sleeve. He fought for us because he loved us. He stormed City Hall when our funding was cut, and he stuck with us through that day and every day after. He died for us because he loved us. Dad died for me because he loved me. I'm going to join the watch. I'm going to be good. I'm going to make the angel suffer because I love him. A boy in the crowd leans on his friend, and I see the person next to Erin, a scraggly white kid in a patchwork coat. In funerals like the ones I've seen in movies, I could picture them as the widow. Instead of a bouquet of lilies, sprawling white funeral flowers, they clutch a charm bracelet. I wish I had Dad's watch, his wedding ring, a scrap of his shirt, his blood under my fingernails, anything. If anyone knew him, Erin murmurs, it was Alex. She puts a hand on their shoulder, ducking her head ever so softly. I remember Erin asking Salvador to track them down in the hours after Trevor's death, because they'd disappeared and she was worried. And I remember their coat lurking near the ham radio in the lobby, only catching flashes of it as I passed by. They looked so gaunt, so destroyed. They still do. Is there anything you want to say? Alex shakes their head and puts the bracelet in the tiny grave. They never got to see Trevor's body, did they? Do I pity them for it, or am I jealous? Would I feel better if Dad had been killed behind my back? If Stephen had grabbed me by the neck and led me away while Brother Hutch put Dad down? If Dad hadn't died with his hand on my hair and his blood in my mouth? You're grinding your teeth, Nick whispers. I unclench. Takes every muscle in my face to manage it. Thanks. Do I believe Dad is in heaven? What happened when the bullet tore through his brain and turned that delicate organ to sludge? I want to think he's happier now than he was, suffocating under Mum and the church, but I can't stomach it. Again, Nick says. Shit. I work my jaw and stare at the brick wall beside me, because it's better than looking at the grave. I know. Somebody else is talking now. Alex stands to the side, wrapped up in their coat, head down in silence. They're so small. I wonder if I look that small beside Dad's body, in the moments between his head shattering and me getting to my feet to run. A prayer for the dead is sacrilege, heresy, blasphemy. I was never taught any, so I have to make one. I dredge up Mum's words, the church's howling screams, and fasten them into something I'm not sure I believe. Oh Lord, accept these souls into your arms and ease their suffering. Do they reach anything? Maybe it doesn't matter if it's true, as long as it takes a bit of the weight off my chest. In your wisdom, let them be judged and let them rest. Can't tell if I'm faking it. If I just want it to be true the same way Faith wanted it, so we all know there's something more than nothing. Alex stifles a sob and steps away. Prayers don't help any of the living beside the ones saying them. I can't just stand here. I promised I would help. I whisper to Nick, "Be right back." He says nothing, just watches. Alex is walking away from the grave. They look a lot like me. Pale, feminine in the face, bags under the eyes. I catch them by the back door, underneath the sniper's legs dangling off the roof, right before their head reaches the handle. The hand reaches the handle. "Hey," I whisper. Alex jumps and turns a watery glare on me. "Alex, right?" They sneer. "Who the hell are you?" I understand anger. God, I do. "I'm Benji, the new guy," I wanted to say. I wanted to say, I was there when Trevor died. I watched the light go out of his eyes. I lost somebody a few days ago, too. If you want to talk about it, I'm here. Alex punches me in the face. Pain snaps through my jaw. I hit the wall. My head cracks against it and I'm frozen long enough to say, "What?" Long enough for Alex to jam their arm under my throat and lean in on it so hard it sends a bolt up the soft part of my esophagus. I fight for air, scrabbling for a hold on their arm. Their eyes bulge, red and bloodshot, and they growl. "It was you." "Alex!" Someone shouts, shattering the desperate quiet of the courtyard. I dig my nails into their wrist so hard something pops. "You killed him!" Alex keens. They press harder into my throat and I gag. "You killed him! He would have lived if you hadn't gone in Nick's fucking way!" "Alex!" It's Faith's voice, louder. "Alex, stop!" Alex's concentration breaks for a second, and I wrench an arm around the back of their neck and slam a fist into their ribs and throw my body into theirs. We hit the grass together. I think I hear Erin. I think I hear Nick. I think, because I don't know. I can't hear anything but the rush in my ears now. Hot blood roaring through my veins, because I'm on the ground with Alex and I'm making some terrible noise, wet and deep in my throat like a grace. I'm on top of them. Their knuckles hit my jaw, my tooth clicks, and a piece of enamel hits the back of my tongue, right where the rot is boiling over, seeping between my teeth. Every nerve ending is on fire. Red burns into my vision. I have a knife. What if Alex has a knife too? What if they stick it into my lung? I lean on them, pulling all my weight on them until they choke, the nails cutting into my face. Our shoes dig into the grass and their knee hits my stomach as they buck and twist. I have to get my knife first. I have to... A hand grabs me by the hood of my jacket and yanks me back, dragging me down to the dirt. I snarl and lash out with my foot. Alex scrambles back, clutching their neck. Ghost white marks around their throat fade as blood rushes back into the skin. Above me, Cormac steps back, heaving with anger. Hair has fallen out of his ponytail and hangs around his face in a mess. "What the fuck?" he spits. "What the fuck?" The stranglehold of my vision eases. The world comes into focus. The entire ALC staring at us. Nick holding Aaron by the wrist. Everyone frozen, even the watch, eyes wide like they caught me reciting an angel prayer. Jesus Christ, Cormac says. He holds out a hand for Alex, who scrabbles further backward before finally staggering to their feet, ignoring him entirely. Cormac turns to me, face contorted. What the fuck is wrong with you? I don't answer. There are no words. I barely hear him, just the thrum of my heartbeat and the creaking of my bones. Just flood in my mouth, burning, tasting like corpse flesh. I swallow it down, even though I know it will come back up later. Cormac turns his glare away from me, marches up to Nick and jabs a finger into his chest. Nick recoils. Aaron puts an arm between them. You think I'm going to work with that motherfucker? Cormac hisses. Nick replies simply, don't touch me again. Alex flings open the back door and flees into the ALC. Cormac shakes awkwardly for a second, looking from face to face, waiting for someone else to speak up. Nobody does. Aisha, Faith, and Salvador all turn away. Giving up, Cormac grunts and follows Alex inside. And all that's left is me. The burning is stuck under my fingertips, searing hot, my cells breaking and bursting. My thoughts are an angry swirl of words, none of which I get past my tongue. Everyone saw that they started it, right? I did what I had to. Don't look at me like that. Don't look at me like that. One word gets past the block in my throat. A bloody, red, rot splattered what? Nick breaks from the group and hauls me to my feet, not at all gently. I think, he says, his face right next to mine, it would be best if you turned in for the night. It isn't until I nearly try to pull my arm out of his socket just for touching me that I manage to take a step back from myself and realize something is really, really wrong with my head right now. I don't do this kind of thing. This isn't me. So what was it? Chapter 8. As the church is to Christ, a wife is to her husband, and graces are to our Seraph. Reverend Mother Woodside's notes. The flood works in stages, but they pass so quickly. You're dead by the 40th hour, tops, and they blur together. It moves more like a parasite than a virus, devouring everything it touches. It starts with the insides, unraveling your organs for spare parts, and it gets into the brain so quickly that you don't notice your spine growing out of your back until you're already tried to pull your teeth through your nearest piece of flesh. Seraph, though, is slow and meticulous. It has a vision in mind, and it's going to do it right. I get to see the stages play out perfectly, all in order, ticking off each box as it goes. I watched it happen to the failed Seraphs before me. Now I get to watch it in the mirror. This is the second stage. Sister Kipling had a specific word for where it happens. The blood-brain barrier. The virus gets from the blood into the brain and starts twisting it the way it twists the body. The way toxoplasma makes rats love cats. The way cordyceps make bugs hang from the stem of a leaf. It makes you more likely to pass it on. It makes you angry. First you start puking up your organs, and then you get pissed. I can't say I didn't know what came over me, because I do. And I can't join the watch if I'm going to hurt people I'm supposed to be helping. So I'm going to do to Seraph what I can do to any other grace. Look it in the eye and control it. If Nick didn't want me to leave the ALC, he shouldn't have shown me how easy it was to get out without the sniper guard noticing. He had to whistle to get the guard's attention when we left for Wagner Commons, and only then did they notice, acknowledging us with a wave. Fine, I won't shoot you since you asked so nicely. All I have to do is wait until dark, and pull up on the gate handle so the hinges don't squeal when I open it. I am alone in Acheson. The city is beautiful if you can ignore that for months after Judgment Day, it stank of dead bodies decomposing in beds, hospital gurneys, carpets, and alleyways. They baked in the sweltering sun, splitting down the stomach when they swelled too large with putrefaction gases. If you can ignore that some of the corpses track you with their eyes when you walk past, if you can hide well enough from the death squads. But there is a beauty to the city. There's no light pollution anymore, so you can look up at the night sky and see the entire universe twinkling between clouds and skyscrapers. Nature creeps back between cracks in the road and up the side of buildings. I pull down my mask and breathe in the fresh, cool, silent air on a street corner. I understand how the angels could radicalize someone. Eternal life in a sky like this could convince a lot of people to join their cause. But that beauty is always dragged down by the desperate hands of the billions of people who were slaughtered to make it. I keep moving. I'm going to find Seraph. If I'm going to coax this virus to life and meet it in the middle, I need a grace. I'm not sure where I'm supposed to look. I don't know this city nearly as well as anyone from the ALC does, so I count turns on my fingers and memorize street signs to make sure I don't get lost. I open front doors to find bones and don't stay because the dusty picture frames scare me. I startle stray pets and scavenger animals that wander the streets. No graces. My path takes me to a bodega between two crumbling storefronts. The windows are plastered with sun-bleached ads and government-distributed signs about water shortages and electricity limits. Might as well. I pull open the front door and a bell rings. The first sound I've heard all night that isn't my sneakers on the asphalt. It's immediately followed by the yowl of a cat as an orange blur scatters from the counter, knocking over pens and hissing and spitting the whole way. I frown. I miss pets. Sorry, kitty. The store was ransacked. The shelves are naked and only the most useless items have been left behind. Zip-tied clusters of brooms, sludge that had probably once been fresh fruit, stacks of lottery tickets that are all scratched off for some reason. Considering how close this is to the ALC, I wouldn't be surprised if someone I know stripped these shelves for everything they had. If Erin, Aisha, Faith, and Nick lived off Doritos and beef jerky for a time. I'm about to leave. There's nothing here but brooms and a cat, when I find a stack of Acheson maps in a plastic case. Perfect. I grab one and spread it out in the back corner, cordoned off by shelves, where a spill of moonlight comes in through the window. The floor is disgusting, but I sit anyway. According to the map, there's an emergency room a few blocks away. Hospitals would have been hotbeds for the flood. I picture morgues filled to bursting by doctors who are starting to spit up blood, a grace rising between the gurneys as its flesh melts and builds itself anew. That's my best shot, then. I hunker down, fingers tracing paths through the streets, trying to orient myself. Which direction did I come from? Which direction should I go? The doorbell jingles. The cat yowls. I freeze. The door eases shut. A black form eases between the shelves, a hand lingering on the front counter. I put a hand over my mouth to muffle my breathing. No white, no robes, so not an angel. A non-believer? Someone who would get scared off if I banged on the shelves, or someone who would slit my throat? I grab the knife from my pocket and ease it open. As soon as the blade peeks from the handle, the silver edge catches the moonlight. Its point is terrifyingly sharp, the way angels always keep them. The blade clicks when it settles into place, loudly. I mouth, "Goddammit," and don't have time to feel guilty for taking the Lord's name in vain. The footsteps stop for just a second, the hard scuff of a rubber sole against tile, before they pick up again. Faster, toward me. That red anger burns up in my throat again, the fury that pushed me to crush Alex's throat in my hand. More of Seraph past the barrier, nestling into grey matter in the folds of my brain. The dark form takes one step past the last shelf. I lunge forward. A hand catches me by the wrist, twists me around and smashes me into the shelves. My back pops, and mop pads and magic erasers clatter to the floor. My knife hand is pinned above me. The dull shine of another blade glints between my stomach and a bruised hand. A raspy voice warns, "Careful." You're kidding. I struggle for air. Nick? Nick lets go, pulling the knife away from my belly. I stumble a few steps and cough into my hands, trying to get breath back into my lungs. Your form is messy, Nick says as I struggle to regain my composure. I lean over to spit flood rot in the corner, but thankfully nothing else comes up. Close the knife, you're going to put your eye out. Grudgingly, I do what he says. So you were going to kill me? Then don't be so easy to kill, I groan. And put your mask back up. If it was anyone other than me following you, you'd have a lot of explaining to do. He's right, I guess. No mask means either I'm infected and there's no point, or I don't care if I get sick and bring it back to everyone else. I shove the mask over my nose and crouch to gather the map. He steps on the corner so I can't. More explaining to do now than now anyway. What are you doing? Why were you following me? I snap. Because you made yourself easy to follow. What are you doing? I was trying something. Too vague. I'm not a double J agent if that's what you're thinking. Give me the map. He doesn't let up. You can never be too careful. I sneer. You really think the angels would use Seraph to spy on a bunch of queers that'll starve out by summer? Yeah, right. The map. Nick moves his foot off the map. I fold it up and shove it in my pocket. I want to join the watch. I need to prove I'm not a danger. I force my voice to steady and scrub all the anger from it, making sure it comes up quiet and calm. I say, I was trying to find a grace, so I could practice. Practice, Nick repeats. It sounds sad when I say it out loud. I scared myself at the funeral. This is what I was talking about at the park. Being a monster and everything. But even if it's painful, I have to say it. I want to help you. I want to join the watch. Nick blinks. But I don't want to hurt my friends. Nick says, You're not friends with Alex. Nobody is friends with Alex. That's not the point. It's not, he concedes. You want to join the watch? I do. Make them suffer for it. Be good. God, I do. Nick holds out his hand. The map. I give it to him. He points to an unlabeled spot nearby. There's a homeless shelter here. Let's go. So what was that at the funeral? Nick asks. We're walking down the middle of the road. Feral graces can be heard from a block away, and death squads don't usually roam at night. No need to stick to the sidewalks. If you know. I stick my hands in my pockets. A flood messes with your head. He glances at me. The starlight really brings out his eyes. People never talk about how pretty dark eyes are, especially that so dark they're almost black of Nick's. How much? He says. Not a lot, I say. Not yet, at least. We'll deal with it. We find the homeless shelter a few blocks away, squat and nondescript. I've never seen one in real life before. When I was younger, Mum would have hurried past it, giving me a lecture about the dangers of overpopulation and laziness, as some people refuse to take responsibility for their lives. They must have done something wrong for them to be punished this way. God is kind, God is just. That wouldn't fly at the ALC. It's been just a few days, and I know how they would react. God sure as hell isn't. People were poor because the rich wanted them to be, just like we're fucked now because the angels want us to be. The inside of the Acheson rescue mission is a massacre. The windows let in just enough light to see by, illuminating rows of stained beds and plastic chairs. It may as well have been a military barrack or maybe a low-security prison. No privacy, no human comfort, just four walls and a cot. And the bodies. Always the bodies. The flood is in their bones. Splinters break off from femurs and jaws. Strange structures grow through chest cavities. I mouth my cobbled-together prayer for the dead as we walk between the beds, because Mum isn't here to stop me. This is what Seraph was made for, to turn every human being into this, to destroy what's left of the world. Maybe there's a back room, I offer. My voice is too loud in the silence. They're just bones. Nick goes back to the front desk and sticks his hand in a trash can. I say, He pulls out a glass bottle, weighs it for a second, and smashes it on the floor. Christ! And it feels good to shout it, to mean it. It burns through me like blood rushing back into my fingertips, and I do it again because I can. Christ, what the hell? A low, long wail keens from the far side of the hall. It rattles in my ribs and puts every hair on edge, the way a child's scream gets under your skin. A grace. I'm across the room before I can stop myself, holding onto the edges of cots to keep myself together. My fingers snag moth-eaten sheets. A grace. A grace. I'm at the edge of its bed, wavering on my feet. This is me. This is what I'll become. It's a mass of white, whirling eyes lock on me, and it begins to scream, high, shrieking, choked with phlegm. Nick stops a few steps away, but I don't. I move forward because I have to. It's more human than not. More human than some, but less human than the inside-out man Dad and I saw on the apartment floor days ago. A head, a torso, close enough. But its ribs open in a second set of teeth, grey organs pulsing underneath like fat, heavy tonsils. His lower jaw has melted into his chest, and molars stick out of its collarbones. One desiccated arm is wretched above its head, lashed to the bed frame by a pair of old handcuffs. It. I can't keep saying it. That's not right. I want to press my hand to its their skin. Reach into their organs the way Theo brought the flesh to his lips. Whisper to them. We're the same thing. We're the same. Can you tell? Nick says, Are you all right? I'm so much more than all right. Yeah, I'm fine. The grace makes a pitiful sound, scared and small. I press my hand to the broken expanse of their chest. Hey, I whisper, and I make sure to whisper it too. Softly, gently. It's okay. I'm not going to hurt you. You're in so much pain. They spent 2 years like this, kept alive by the flood and nothing else, alone for so long. Their skin is mottled all kinds of colors, green and black and yellow, looking like it might come off in my hand when I take it away. It won't, though. Gray's skin is tough and hard, impervious, intensely painful. It's why people like Nick have to get them in the soft parts, the mouth and eyes, into the brain. Just thinking about that makes my skin crawl. No, I'm not going to let that happen. They're scared. I am too, but I'm here now, and I'm not going to let anything happen. We're the same. Can you tell? Can you tell? Nick comes up beside me. He's been keeping his distance, hands clasped behind his back. I don't blame him. I'll have to scrub my hands raw as soon as we get back to the ALC, or Sadaf will probably have Cormac haul me back out and set me right. The flood creeps in through the same soft parts of bodies that are so vulnerable in Grace's. The mouths and eyes and mucous membranes, and it gets you any way it can. Clinging to skin and clothes, lingering in dead meat, sometimes traveling through the air in an infected person's breath. At least the virus has the decency to show itself quickly. It's calm, Nick says, eyes fixated on the Grace's cracked open chest. I say they're safe now, they know that. His eyes narrow at the use of they, but he doesn't point it out. How? I told them. But whispering is more than just telling. It's a live wire. Seraph to the flood, the Grace to me, like the virus is some kind of current thrumming between us. I open my mouth to explain, but none of the metaphors sound right. A language, a connection deeper than that. Even Sister Kipling couldn't put it into words. How am I supposed to? Any attempt to explain is choked when I take off my mask and spit black sludge onto the floor. The Grace turns in bed as best they can, whimpering, free hand reaching for me. I grab their fingers as I straighten up, murmuring, I'm okay. It's okay. Screw practice. I need to make sure this Grace is okay. Does it follow orders? Nick asks. They're not a dog, I retort. I don't like the way he says it, and I can't tell if it's just the flat way he talks or if he truly doesn't give a shit about the person in front of us. My skin burns warm, then hot, the way it did when Alex pinned me to the wall. This is it. I said I would control it. I'm going to control it. I spent years swallowing down anger the way girls are told to, so I can learn to do this too. Breathe. Ask the question calmly. Do you see a handcuff key anywhere? A little metal thing? Nick frowns. What? Calmly. Do you see one? I heard you the first time. Why do you want one? You're not thinking about... I bristle. No, get it together. I am. Nick says, absolutely not. I'm not going to hurt anybody. They've been trapped here for years. This isn't right. If I can help them, I have to. That's what it means to do good. Just help me look. It's dangerous, Nick says. His calm voice isn't matched by the look in his eyes, nervously flickering from the Grace to me. I understand that this is important to you. Don't take that tone with me. But this is taking it a step too far. It's not. They're just stuck. They won't hurt us, I swear. No. Nick pulls me back. This is too much. I wrench out of his grasp and shove him away. It burns where we touch. If you're going to act like this, we're leaving. I bare my teeth. Even though it's behind the mask, even if you can't see it, it feels right. Showing my teeth like a Grace, like Seraph. No. I've never said no to anyone before. Not in any way that mattered. We're not. We watch each other. I'm skimming him for weapons the way I did in the office the first day. He has a knife in his pocket. He could have it at my neck in a second and slit my throat in another, and I know it. I have a knife too. And an idea. I snap it open and dive for the Grace. I jam the blade into the crook of their thumb and shove it between the bones and wrench it until something snaps. The Grace shrieks, and Nick's body slams into mine, taking us both down to the floor. He bashes my knife hand into the concrete and the blade clatters away. Get off! I howl. His knee digs into my hip. I try to twist him off, but God, why is this boy so much stronger? It isn't fair. I remember when Theo held me down almost just like this, and I hate it. Motherfucker! Nick's weight disappears from my chest. A mass of flesh hits the cot beside us, sending it across the floor with a screech and taking Nick with it. I sit up. The Grace has Nick trapped against the floor, strings of saliva trailing from their gaping mouth. The thumb I broke hangs limply by the rest of their clawed fingers, just enough to help them slip their cuffs. Nick has gone completely still, dark eyes wide and jittering. It's beautiful, and I come back to my senses immediately. I clap my hands as if scolding a puppy. Hey! Grace's head snaps up. Don't hurt him! The Grace snuffles and backs away, taking their hand off Nick's shoulder. Nick scrambles to his feet, wheezing. The fire of Seraph chews through my stomach and it hurts. But it hurts like growing. Like setting a bone or popping a joint back into place. This is control. This is what I wanted. This is what I was made for. All right, Nick rasps. His hand hovers by his shoulder where the Grace held him down. All right, you want to join the watch? I do. More than anything, I do. He looks to the Grace. Good. You start tomorrow. Nicholas. Chapter 9. The Acheson LGBTQ Center Youth Services is a crucial resource for gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, and other queer and questioning youth. From providing free meals for those in need to readying students for a career through job counseling and volunteer work, we do everything we can to offer opportunities to those who need them. Acheson LGBTQ Center official website. It took Nick a long time to learn to lie. If he was going to be honest, it took him a long time to learn most of the things that seemed to come naturally to everyone else. Like realizing someone meant fuck off when they pretended he wasn't there, or how to speak without rehearsing the words of a sentence a dozen times, or figuring out that sometimes it was better to make up something that wasn't true and pretend it was. He'd gotten good at compensating for it over the years. He'd had to. Being autistic was just another thing his parents could hold over his head, could carve into his skin as they reminded him what a failure he was. But lying was different, because once Nick learned to lie, he became disturbingly good at it. He'd spent so long memorizing the rules of interacting with people that he could twist them to his advantage. There are scripts people don't even realize they follow, and if you fit that script, or tweak it just enough to throw them off, they drop their guard. There are certain ways to say things, and if you get them right, you can say whatever you want. People hear what they want to and fill in the gaps themselves. There are patterns. There are tells. It is embarrassingly easy. That's why lying is a job and not Erin's. Erin's job is to make the truth palatable, and if she can't do, then it's Nick's job to hide it. Speaking of Erin, Nick had just woken up and is looking for her when something happens in the kitchen. Nick sticks his head in to see if Erin is there, which she is not, just in time for Calvin to shove Aisha against the sink and scream, "Fucking liar!" Sadaf and Carly jump up from their breakfast so quickly it sends their chairs screeching back on the tile. The sound feels like worms crawling up Nick's spine, but there's no time to do anything about it because Calvin has his hands on Aisha and no, absolutely not. Nick bolts across the room and grabs Calvin in a headlock. One arm under the jaw and one on the back of the head. Calvin twists in his grasp as Nick drags him away. He spits, curses, and claws at Nick's sleeves. "Liar! Goddamn fucking liar! Let me go!" Aisha braces herself on the counter, gulping down air. Sadaf chucks against her side while Carly stands in front, one hand on Aisha's shoulder to keep her steady. "Stop," Nick snarls. Calvin's back is flush against his chest and the heat and pressure is suffocating. "Stop." Calvin jams an elbow into Nick's ribs. Nick grabs the elbow and wrenches it back until Calvin howls. Nick says, "Cut the shit." He drops Calvin to the floor where the boy coughs and chokes, pounding his fist on the tile. The first thing Nick wants to do is shake himself out, get the awful feeling off his skin, but Aisha is trembling, which means Nick has to keep it together. Okay, he can do that for her. Calvin whines from the floor. "You almost broke my arm." "You're right." Nick does not say that move would have simply dislocated it. "I almost did. If you have a problem, and you come to me, not my people. Me. Am I clear?" "Your people," Calvin spits. He flings a hand at the skeletal pantry. Aisha flinches. "Fuck you, where the hell is our food?" Nick's throat slams shut. Of course it's about food. When one person finally snaps, it means everyone is thinking it. At least a little bit. Seraph was right. They're going to starve out by summer if they don't do something drastic and soon. The mental image of losing people to a lack of water when the rains stop coming, to heat stroke when summer breaks, to starvation when the animals begin hiding from the heat and the vanguard turns their back. It hits like an iron pipe to the back of his skull, every time. but nobody gets to put a hand on his people. There is enough, Nick says, and we'll be getting more. Every word is careful. Every word is perfect. He doesn't know if he's lying, so he has to pretend that he is. Lying keeps Aisha safe. It keeps them all safe. If you touch her again, we're going to have a lot more problems and a broken arm. Calvin says nothing to that, so Nick turns to Aisha. Are you okay? I guess, Aisha manages, which is also a lie, but Nick doesn't press. He just nods. If he does this again, you come and tell me immediately. Aisha's voice hitches when she speaks. Can I go back to my room? Of course. Sadaf, Carly, go with her. Then it's just him and Calvin. Calvin's face is wrinkled in anger and pain. That was a bad decision you just made, Nick notes. You won't make it again. That's when Erin comes running in. Still in the silk scarf she sleeps in, her mask lopsided on her face. I just saw Aisha crying, she says. What happened? Nick spends a lot of time being grateful to Erin, and this is why. She sits on the office floor with him, silent and unpitying, while he pulls himself together. His lizard isn't enough, so he digs his palms into the rough carpet until his skin stops trying to crawl off his body. The Vanguard, the Grace, then Calvin. He has to keep it together. His job is to keep it together. He scrapes his palms red on the carpet, shakes them out, and presses them against his temples, right where he can feel the heartbeat pounding in his skull. Can you talk? Erin asks. Nick shakes his head. He can, technically, but the idea of it, God, the idea of it. He wants to hide his whole face behind a mask, not just everything below the eyes. Cover the eyes too, cover everything. Erin says, okay. It takes a while for the vice to loosen its stranglehold on him. It happens slowly, the threat of a shutdown fading like shadows come noon. Still there, technically, but not nearly as noticeable. His breathing slows. He doesn't feel like he's drowning anymore. His leg is still bouncing, but it always does that. Nick says, all right. Erin says, Aisha's okay. Faith offered to buddy up for a few days, keep an eye on her. Sadaf offered too, but we've been keeping her busy lately. That makes sense. Faith has been glued to Aisha's side since Trevor died. She wouldn't even leave her long enough to go out to the Vanguard. She had been his first pick, but she refused to budge. A sudden knot presents itself. Are they dating? Not that he particularly cares about the details, but he needs to know for strategic reasons. As soon as he tries to inspect the tangle, though, it fizzes out. It'll be easier to ask Salvador. Z knows a lot about these things. Good, Nick finally says. He puts his work voice on, a low one that never wavers or cracks. If he can't cover his whole face with a mask, this is the next best thing. I'll keep an eye on Calvin. Erin leans against the desk, studying him. She's picking at the ends of her braids, which is never good. Nick knows how delicate her hair is. She must be really stressed. You have better things to keep an eye on, like a Benji. Seraph. That's why Nick was looking for Erin in the first place. The whole reason he crawled out of bed this early in the morning, even after he spent half the night out in the city. Seraph will be joining the watch today, he says, and it'll be going to the church. Erin cringes at the word it. But they'd had this argument already and agreed to hate the other's opinion on the topic in silence. Just wanted to keep you updated. I was wondering when you... She mumbles and stops. Wait, what? The church, next week. I know that, Erin says. What I mean is why? The way she's looking at him like he's a child missing something obvious makes him hate himself a little more, so he pulls the lizard from his pocket to play with. It's the least rude of his stimming options in the middle of a conversation, and even with Erin, he finds himself trying not to be too autistic. And the thing is, there are a lot of ways to answer her question, because Seraph is desperate to prove itself loyal, because it wants to be helpful, and offering it the opportunity would twist it around their finger. Because there's no reason not to use Seraph while they have it. Because they might not have Seraph forever. He decides on, I've seen what it can do. The memory of the abomination pressing its face to his bubbles up, all the teeth and skin and stench. It'll make the church survivable. Erin doesn't respond. Nick looks up from the lizard, which has 14 blue beads and 36 yellow beads, which he knows because he's counted them 1,000 times, to find her staring at nothing. We shouldn't have done this, she finally says. This was a bad idea. A heavy weight settles in Nick's stomach. Explain. Him, Erin says, and the pronoun feels pointed. Benji. Seraph, this whole mess. She shakes her hands helplessly. Not the way Nick shakes his hands, but the way non-autistic people do, like she's trying to conjure something out of thin air. I don't know if I can do this. You don't have to lie to it, Nick says. That must be what she's upset about. All he has to do is reassure her. That's my job. She breaks out the patient tone of voice that means he's missing something. And I'm grateful, but that's not what I mean. It hits. Again. The iron pipe to the back of the head. He says, you feel bad for it. It's an awful thing to say. Saying it out loud means the words are going to stick. The words are going to stay there in his head, and he's going to keep thinking about them, and he can't let himself do that. I feel like shit, Erin says. It's cruel. Nick doesn't flinch, only because he's been called cruel before. Asking Benji to risk his life when he's practically dying, when we're wondering if his dead body will convince the Vanguard not to abandon us. There has to be some other way. Something else we can do. Nick told her that it would be difficult. He said that Seraph would play at being human and they couldn't let themselves be weak. They spent the past year killing angels. This one should be no different. This is our best chance. Nick jams his finger into the carpet. Do you want to let everybody starve? No, I don't. Her chest heaves. Nick, look. Logically, I understand. I do. Don't pretend like I don't understand exactly where you're coming from, because I do. But I don't want to be the kind of person who is fine with sacrificing a kid. Nick's face is doing that thing where he can't figure out how to move it. And he is so grateful for his mask because you can't see the way he's sucking on his teeth and chewing on his lips as if that will help, which it doesn't. You get me, she says. Right? Deep breaths. I do. But this is different. Seraph isn't a person. The words snag on the way out. He tamps down how Seraph looked at him under the pavilion, the way it sagged in relief when Nick offered a little bit of himself in return. I'm autistic. To ease the tension in its shoulders. It looks like a teenager. It sounds like a teenager. It acts like a boy exactly his age, reflecting his worst nightmare back at him, desperately grasping for a friend, and Nick cannot be that. Nick can be anything else. He can be cruel. He can build an entire personality out of violence and disconnection, convince everyone that he is unfeeling and uncaring, but he will not betray a friend. He's never gone that low, and he never will. The moment he does, he will be no better than the sons of bitches that burned this world to the ground. Therefore, Seraph cannot be human. Erin sniffles. Nick never knows what to do when people cry. It scares him. She says, he reminds me of you. No. You see it, she says. Right? Absolutely not. He refuses to listen to this from himself, and he absolutely will not hear it from her. He wants to beg her not to say things like this, because it will only make it harder for everyone. It will only make it harder for him, and he'll be the one pulling the trigger if it comes to it, because he always is. Nick says, I have no idea what you're talking about. You have to see it. It's right there. He has seen it. How could he not? Under the pavilion, Nick almost kept talking. He wanted to tell Seraph everything. He wanted to say that it would be okay, that he'd been through it too. He understood the wild look in its eyes when it saw something it could protect, because he feels the same way every time someone comes to him for help. He understands, and if he so much as acknowledges it, he will never forgive himself. Why did he give it those bobby pins? Why did he reach out like that? What was he thinking? No, he says. Nick. She reaches out to take him by the shoulder, but he jerks away and slams into the office door. She knows to ask before touching him. She knows that. Please, she whispers. Nick is silent. His jaw's locked, and there are no words in his head, just a storm of anger and gritting teeth and bones grinding in his knuckles. He tries to speak 3 times and fails, each time the thought burning away into ash before it can form the right shape. He counts the beads on the lizard without looking. Eventually, he pieces a sentence together, word by word, bit by bit. The feathers tattooed on his back sear like a cattle brand, like hellfire. Seraph will go to the church, Nick manages, and if it comes to it, it will be given to the Vanguard. That is his job. He will do his job.